subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Spent the rest of the day practicing. In fact, Yagami Ryosuke never thought that he would work so hard before. After all, he was actually quite lazy in his previous life. But in this life, Yagami Ryosuke feels that he has fallen in love with this kind of crazy exercise. On the one hand, the sense of accomplishment after becoming stronger is fascinating. On the other hand, it is also because his physical recovery ability is too strong and the painful feeling after crazy exercise does not last long. So people will not be discouraged after a few exercises. Instead, there will be a very comfortable feeling in the recovery process, as if you were stepping from a place where you are tortured to a paradise on earth. This process made Night God Ryosuke very obsessed. He exhausted his physical strength over and over again, and even the hands and feet he practiced were broken and bleeding, but still enjoy it every day. But, along with the Night God, Ryosuke's physique is getting stronger and stronger. It is difficult to see results quickly with simple daily exercises. So he began to make it harder for himself. In the past, when doing push-ups, it was simply a matter of getting down on the ground and doing it. But now, Night God Ryosuke will put a big stone on his back. In the beginning, it was a stone weighing 200 or 300 caddies, then gradually changed to 500 or 600 caddies, 700 or 800 caddies. The weight was increased step by step until Ryosuke got used to the weight and then continued to increase. At the same time, putting stones on your back not only bears the weight of the stones, but also maintains a balance. Otherwise, the stone will roll off the back. Therefore, this is also an exercise in body control. Also, before the night, God Ryosuke beat trees. It was changed to irons. He specially ordered an iron rod, 0.5 meter thick and 2 meters long at Konoha's ninja shop. Insert the iron rod into the ground, exposing a large part of it, and then punch and kick the iron rod. To make your body stronger than steel is the goal of Night God Ryosuke. Normally, this is almost impossible to do in the Hokage world. Most taijutsu-type ninjas, their bodies are not as hard as steel. A handful of kunai can pierce their flesh and blood, and even cut off their bones. That is to say, lunatics like Hokage rely on lightning-style Chakra mode to stimulate and strengthen cells with the power of lightning, so that there will be qualitative changes in physical fitness. But that's just an example. Are very few to know. Also, practicing lightning-style Chakra mode, 4th Hokage is not as strong as his father 3rd Hokage. 3rd Hokage can be singled out against 8 Tails Jaiki, even cut off one of his horns. The strength is strong, which can be seen from Madara. But the strength of 4th Hokage is not so strong, much weaker than his father. The things to practice are the same. Why is there a difference in strength? This is naturally due to the differences in people themselves. To put it bluntly, it is the difference in talent and aptitude. And even someone like 3rd Hokage, without chakra, his physical fitness will decline. In the ninja world, there is no pure physical master who does not rely on chakra. This is the limit of the world, because of the lack of external factors in this regard. Why are the people in One Piece world so strong? See what they eat. All kinds of big monsters. He gnawed on a sea king's leg at every turn. It takes thousands of caddies of meat for a meal. How the hell do you eat a few kilos in total? How many kilos do you eat? What I ate was much heavier than the whole person. So where did all that food go? Certainly, the people in One Piece world are indeed like monsters in terms of absorbing ability. Can absorb, and there are things that allow them to absorb. This is why they have a physique like a monster. But the Hokage world does not have this condition. Absorbency is limited, and there isn't that much for you to absorb. Fortunately, Night God Ryosuke has many talent entries. The increase in physical fitness alone has reached 23.5 times with the blessing of these talent entries. Even if his own physical fitness can't reach the level of that monster. Available at 23.5x bonus. It can also become as powerful as a monster. Spring goes and autumn comes. In a blink of an eye, Xiao Li and the others graduated that year. Afterwards, Night God Ryosuke and the others advanced to the 6th grade this year, and the time also came to Konoha's 60th year without knowing it. Training ground no, for in an open space next to a waterfall, Night God Ryosuke's upper body was bare, and every muscle in his body was heaving and pulling with his movements. Under a tree nearby, Hinata was waving her tiny palm against the tree trunk. There was a yelling sound from her mouth. Even though sweat slipped from her forehead and dripped in her eyes, she didn't stop to wipe it off, but endured the discomfort and continued to practice. After a while, Ino came out of the forest with a bento. "Ryosuke, Hinata, eat," she shouted. Boom! It was a loud bang. Night God Ryosuke stood up, and at the same time, a boulder on his back was lifted high up with his movement, and he caught it with one hand. This boulder weighs at least a dozen tons. But in the hands of a Night God Ryosuke, it seems to only weigh a dozen caddies. He held it up with one hand, and then gently placed it on the ground beside him. There were no weeds growing on the ground around him, and only a little further outside did lush weeds begin to appear. Plop! After putting down the boulder, Night God Ryosuke turned around and jumped into the pool behind him. After washing the whole body and washing away the sweat, he jumped back to the shore. Wind style. Hair technique. A gust of warm wind blew away the water stains on his body. This is a little ninjutsu developed by him in his spare time. It is mainly used to dry the water stains on the body, so that it is convenient to save the process of wiping after taking a bath. Certainly, if Night God Ryosuke is willing, as long as the output of chakra is increased. This hair-blowing technique can also cause an effect comparable to Great Breakthrough, or even stronger. But it's not necessary. It's just a wind, not a typhoon. Chapter 49, Graduation Exam. Test 3 Body Technique. Wouldn't it be enough to have hands? 6th more, sitting on the picnic cloth, the 3 ate the bento Ino brought. Tomorrow is the graduation exam day. Hinata, are you confident? Ino asked suddenly. Well, I can. Hinata nodded and said softly. For more than 2 years, Hinata has actually been secretly practicing with Night God Ryosuke. Almost 2.5 years ago. It was at the end of the year before 2020 that Yagami Ryosuke accidentally found Hinata sitting by the river in a daze. So he went over to chat with her for a while. Later, I found out that it was because Hinata was scolded by her father again, so she was a little depressed, so she ran out to relax. As a result, she accidentally ran to the outskirts of the village while walking. Night God Ryosuke had a long chat with Hinata that day. That was the first time the two of them had spoken so much. Hinata herself is not a talkative person, and she is easily shy at every turn, and even faints when she is so shy. So before at school, Yagami Ryosuke only occasionally said a few words to Hinata or said hello. It was also after that time that Night God Ryosuke persuaded Hinata to let her practice with him when she had time, and he would also guide her in gymnastics training. According to Hinata's personality, she would definitely be embarrassed to agree. Even if he had this idea in his heart, he would refuse it because he didn't want to trouble Ryosuke, the Night God. But it made the Night God Ryosuke have the talent entry of King of Mouth Escape. After a few words, Hinata was directly convinced by him. Without even thinking about it, he agreed. After that, Hinata would come out to practice with Night God Ryosuke 2 or 3 days a week, and Night God Ryosuke also took this opportunity to subtly change Hinata's personality. A person's character is not innate. It is closely related to the environment in which she grew up. Hinata is still young, and to be honest, her character has not yet been fully formed. At this time, Night God Ryosuke used his power of persuasion to instill his thoughts into her over and over again, making Hinata unknowingly become his shape. Now more than 2 years have passed. Hinata has indeed undergone quite a change in character. I am no longer as shy as I used to be, although still quite introverted, not very talkative. But at least in front of close people like Night God Ryosuke and Ino, she has begun to let go. Whatever thoughts you have in your heart, you will express them boldly. It's no longer just being bored in my heart all day long, and no one says anything. In addition, after more than 2 years of training, Hinata's strength has also been greatly improved. More than a month ago, he had already successfully learned 8 trigrams, 64 palms, and even the Hyuga family's unique skill Revolving Heaven has been successfully displayed. According to Knight God Ryosuke's evaluation of her, in terms of strength, it has reached the level of Chunin. In addition to having little combat experience, almost not lost to any body type Chunin. In contrast, Ino's strength improvement is not as great as Hinata, but she herself is not too keen on this aspect. Hinata is because she wants to become stronger to prove her determination. That's why Knight God Ryosuke let her practice with him. The situation with Ino is different. Her parents are very good to her, and there are no strict requirements. As long as you can learn family ninjutsu, others hardly care about Ino. Therefore, Ino has also developed a character that is not keen on cultivation. But no matter what they are, Knight God Ryosuke will choose to support their ideas. After all, whether it's Hinata or Ino, they are all the wings of the Knight God Ryosuke. There is no distinction between which is more important. I almost forgot. Tomorrow is the day of the graduation exam. If Ino didn't say it, Knight God Ryosuke almost forgot. During this time, he was so absorbed in his cultivation that he almost forgot the time. I vaguely remember that Mr. Irika seemed to be talking about the graduation exam yesterday. Pity. Ryosuke, the night god, was wandering in the sky at the time. Did not hear clearly. The graduation exam should be the clone technique. Yagami Ryosuke thought to himself, although the memory of the previous life has been awakened for more than 2 years. But the memory of the Hokage plot has not faded with the passage of time, but has become clearer. This is mainly because the spiritual power of Ryosuke, the night god, has been greatly improved with the development of Sharingan. So the memory of the past has become more and more clear and has not gradually faded over time. But this time, Naruto will need to steal another sealed book. Yagami Ryosuke thought with a smile. For more than 2 years, Naruto has been practicing hard and has completely given up using pranks to attract attention. Therefore, a mere clone technique assessment would not trouble him at all. I just don't know. If Naruto graduates successfully, how will our dear third Hokage build a good relationship with Naruto? Wouldn't it be, just as a gift, giving a ninjutsu scroll with multiple shadow clone technique? As for telling Naruto to deliberately fail the exam, Yagami Ryosuke is not that boring. Doing this is nothing more than thinking about the sealed book, which may be stolen by Naruto, and I also know that it cannot be true. Either it was tampered with, or it was simply a counterfeit. There is a high probability that there is only one multiple shadow clone technique above. After all, with such an important thing as the Book of Seals, Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't mess around. Even if there's only a 0.01% chance of an accident, he will not take the risk. And neither Naruto nor Mizuki have actually seen the sealed book. Facing a few people who have never seen the real sealed book, why use the real one? Just put a fake on it. As for the fake sealed book, Night God Ryosuke doesn't like it either. Naturally, I am too lazy to do this. Really, Mr. Irika didn't say in advance what the test will be tomorrow. Shouldn't he let us fight with those official genin? I heard that the former student's graduation assessment was to fight with the official genin. Ino talked about the gossip that he didn't know where he got it. Don't worry, it's over now. At most, it's just a test of 3-body technique. Night God Ryosuke directly revealed the correct answer to them, lest they guess here and scare themselves. Test 3-body technique? Both Ino and Hinata looked at Yagami Ryosuke in surprise. Obviously, they didn't expect the exam to be so easy. Chapter 50, New Talent Entry. 7th More. Now is an era of peace. For the village, Genin has plenty of time to cultivate slowly, so the difficulty of graduation will naturally not be too high. Yagami Ryosuke explained. So this is The two nodded suddenly. If it's 3-body technique, it's totally fine, Ino said with a smile. Fortunately, she was a little worried before. As a result, it turned out to be just the 3-body technique. Cut. This is too simple. It's not true that someone who has studied for 6 years can't even use the 3-body technique proficiently, right? No way. In the room at night. Night God Ryosuke is sitting at the desk, looking at some talent entries he has gained in the past 2.5 years. Night God Ryosuke talent entry Son of Destiny Gold. Spirit of Vengeance Gold. Cursed Eye Gold. Indra's Resentment Gold. King of Mouth Escape Golden. The Incarnation of the Demon Fox Golden. Ashura's Mercy Golden. White-Eyed Princess Purple. Student Master Purple. 50% off Gold. Burning Soul of Youth Purple. Uchiha Madara Approved Man Gold. The Invisible Purple. Your existence is easy to be ignored. Even if you stand in front of you, you may be ignored by others. Sense of Presence 1500%. Little Rich Woman Purple. You are very rich. Growing up, you never knew what it felt like to be short of money. Money plus 100,000 taels per day. The money gain you get plus 500%. Comes with Space Transfer. Martyr Purple. If life has color, then your life must be gray. Konoha 12 Zyokyang. One less person from now on. White Eyes Observation Distance plus 200%. 8 trigrams Palms Power plus 200%. Comes with Revolving Heaven. Akameru's Owner Purple. You have a dog, and you have a very good relationship with it. You eat and live together. Canine Summoning Beast Favorability plus 1000%. I'm strong Purple. I'm not fat. I am plump, and I'm strong. Food Absorption Efficiency plus 1000%. Flower Fairy Purple. A touch of bright gold among thousands of flowers. I was born to be the proud daughter of the heavens that everyone is looking forward to. Mental Power plus 300%. Illusion Resistance plus 300%. Violence Maniac Purple. You like violence. Violence makes you feel good inside. This may be the other side of you hidden deep in your heart. Physical Skill Power plus 500%. Comes with Strange Power. Master of Sword Dao Purple. You have a deep understanding of Sword Dao. Your swordsmanship is superb enough to be called a master swordsman. Sword Training Efficiency plus 400%. Sword Power plus 400%. Master of Illusion Purple. You have a deep understanding of illusion. Your illusion is so superb that you can be called a master of illusion. Illusion Power plus 500%. Attached. Tree Binding Kill. Number of conversions 0 times. Biological Pheromone Warehouse. A pile of various hairs. Free experience value 4,566 points. I will not write what I have written before, mainly the talent entries that the protagonist will obtain later. On the interface, all the talent entries currently equipped by Night God Ryosuke are listed, in addition to a large number of golden talent entries in front. The following are all purple talent entries. After 2 years of continuous transformation of entries by Night God Ryosuke, he has also figured out the law of transformation of entries. One is to judge according to the potential of the converted target. Basically, those who have super shadow potential in the future can be transformed into golden talent entries. Like Naruto, like Sasuke. In the Fourth Ninja World War, Kakashi also obtained another eye brought back from the Pure Land by Obito, thus possessing super shadow combat power. So he can also transform into a golden talent entry. Needless to say, my guy, proper super Kage level combat power. Although the maintenance time is a bit short, but no matter how short it is beyond Kage level. And Kage level potential, or occupying a relatively important position. The converted entries are basically purple, such as the other 10 people in the 12 Little Strong. Although the future potential is not everyone is Kage level, but being able to rank among the top 12 heroes alongside Naruto and Sasuke is obviously a character who occupies a lot of space in this world. So the talent entries transformed from them are also purple. And like Yuahong, Yuzuki Shien, and Sarutobi Isuma, and the like. The entries transformed from them are basically blue. One is that the future potential is less than Kage level. The other is also not enough coffee seats. And compared with, like Iruka and Mizuki. Basically, it can only be transformed into green talent entries. Night God Ryosuke has converted a talent entry on time every day for more than 2 years. The reason why after more than 2 years, there are only a few entries retained is because most of the entries he transformed later are useless entries. Basically, they were broken down by him and turned into free experience points. Therefore, in more than 2 years, he has accumulated more than 4,000 free experience points. All of them were obtained by dismantling those useless entries, and he also used up 2,000 experience points. It was spent on the 2 talent entries, Master of Swordsmanship and Master of Illusion. The former is an entry transformed from Uchiha. The latter is the entry transformed from Uchiha. It was all blue at first. Night God Ryosuke saw that their attributes were not bad, so he spent 2,000 experience points to upgrade them to purple. It started with the entries of Sword Master and Illusion Master. After upgrading to purple, it becomes the current name. If you upgrade them to gold, it is estimated that it will change, but it is still inseparable from the 2 themes of Kendo and Illusion. Actually, the entry Kamaru's Master in the purple talent entry, Night God Ryosuke also wants to dismantle it. He doesn't need the opinion bonus of some canine summoning beast. That thing is useless to him. The reason why it was not disassembled is because Night God Ryosuke can't get 10,000 free experience points for the time being, and decomposing a purple talent entry will give 1,000 experience points. Adding what he has now, it is not enough to upgrade any purple talent entry to gold. That's why it's left undisassembled for the time being. Chapter 51, Naruto's Change. The result of 2 years of practice. 8th more. Next, I call the person whose name came in to take the exam. The content of today's exam is clone technique. Ninja School Playground. Year 6 graduates are waiting for their graduation exams to begin. At this time, Irika came over with a list and announced the content of today's exam to the 6th graders present. When they heard that the content of the exam was clone technique, some students who hadn't fully mastered clone technique showed expressions of despair. No, I can only create 1 clone now. Will it fail? It's miserable. I feel like I might be repeating a grade. Oops, I haven't learned the clone technique yet. As for Class A, grade 6, everyone was smiling. Being able to enter Class A is itself a symbol of talent. Even the ordinary students in Class A are much more talented than those in Class B and C. Therefore, there is no one in Class A who has not learned the clone technique in the 6th grade. After all, it's just an E-level 3 body technique. Very low difficulty. If you can't even learn the 3 body technique, which is only grade E in 6 years, then it's enough to show that you don't have the talent to become a ninja. In this case, it is better to give up as soon as possible and learn other craft. Being an ordinary person is more suitable for you. Certainly, there are exceptions. For example, the previous Naruto could not learn the clone technique. But Naruto is a special case. It's not that he doesn't have this talent, but that there are too many additional interference factors. But now Naruto is not the Naruto who only knew pranks more than 2 years ago. In more than 2 years, many people and things have changed. Naturally, Naruto is also included. Today's Naruto, with a strong body, stands taller than other children of the same age around him by more than half a head. It is no longer the dwarf winter melon of the past, nor is it the thin hemp pole. I don't know when Naruto changed his iconic suit in the past few years and began to love clothes-fitting training clothes. I heard that Naruto had mixed with Might Guy 2 years ago and practiced martial arts together. But fortunately, Naruto's aesthetics will not completely deviate from the category of normal people. At least he didn't change into the same green jumpsuit as Might Guy and Lee, or it would be too bad. At this time, standing in the crowd, Naruto has a confident smile on his lips. After hearing Mr. Irika announce that the content of the exam is clone technique, he did not show a painful expression, but was very confident. It's just a clone technique. It's too simple, Naruto said with a smile. The classmates next to him couldn't help but look at him with strange eyes. After all, put it more than 2 years ago. At this moment, Naruto must have been complaining. However, the changes in Naruto over the past 2 years are obvious to all. In a usual school battle practice, Naruto even won the 2nd place. Yes, Sasuke lost to Naruto several times. For this reason, Sasuke also practiced harder and harder. In terms of strength, It is much stronger than when Konoha was in the 60th year of the original book. Now he has not learned Chidori except. Basically, it is almost the same as the strength of Chunin at the time of the exam. Sharingan was also turned on when it was first defeated by Naruto last year. In fact, Sasuke's Sharingan has been successfully opened a few years ago, that is, the night of Genocide Night. It's just that even Sasuke himself doesn't know about this matter. I never realized that I had actually opened my eyes. It was not until he was defeated by Naruto, whom he always looked down upon, that Sasuke seemed to be stimulated by something and directly opened one Tomo Sharingan. After opening eyes, Sasuke's strength has indeed improved a lot compared to opening eyes. In the next few practice sessions, Naruto lost to him. But 3 months later, Sasuke lost to Naruto again because Naruto learned a very good physical technique from Might Guy and defeated Sasuke by surprise. And after that, the two guys started a year-long match. Sometimes you win, and sometimes I win. Overall, it was Sasuke who won more. After all, there is a big difference between Uchiha with eyes open and Uchiha without eyes open, although it's just a single hook jade. And this kind of competition seems to have promoted the warming up of the relationship between the two. Now, the one who has the best relationship with Naruto in the class is Ryosuke, the Night God, and Sasuke is the one who is next in line. Even if Night God Ryosuke is not Naruto's first official good friend, he has to be ranked below Sasuke. After all, the bond between Ashura and Indra is no joke. Ichiro Sato, qualified. Coriander Kaneko, qualified. Kazama Grassfield, qualified. Classmates were called in one by one to take the exam. In Class A, basically everyone who went in came out with a smile. The other classes were not so lucky. Basically, 1 out of 3 is a failure. You can only repeat the grade, or simply leave the ninja school and give up becoming a ninja. Yagami Ryosuke stood with Ino and Hinata under a big tree to enjoy the shade while waiting for his name to be called. Looking at some students over there who failed to get the forehead protector, Yagami Ryosuke didn't have any sympathy in his eyes. Those who can't even practice 3 body technique, well, in 6 years. Making them become ninjas will only harm them. Yamanaka Ino. At this time, Ino's name was also called. I'm going in. Ino said something to the two, then ran into the classroom with a smile. After a while, Ino came out with a forehead protector. She came over with a giggle and asked Night God Ryosuke to help her tie the forehead protector. Night God Ryosuke also smiled and said congratulations, and then helped Ino tie the forehead protector around her waist. Ino has a thin waist. It's the kind of water snake waist with a grip, but the upper body is already showing its initial scale. Although it cannot be compared with Hinata, it is no longer a steam bun. Nara Shikamaru brush. A figure jumped down from the tree. Coming. Shikamaru responded feebly, then walked over there slowly. For more than 2 years, Shikamaru is still the same. It's still the same look of being indifferent to everything. Chapter 52. Naruto and Sasuke's bond. Naruto, whose painting style is getting more and more wrong. First update after a while. Shikamaru came out from the classroom, already put on the forehead protector. Congratulations. Yagami Ryosuke said with a smile. Ryosuke, don't make fun of me. Just take a clone technique. Shikamaru supported the forehead protector on his arm and said lazily, You're wrong. I didn't see that there are still many people who failed the exam, so I still want to congratulate you. Yagami Ryosuke said with a grin. Shikamaru was speechless. Could it be the same? After a while, Hinata's name was also called, and she went in to complete the graduation exam and successfully obtained her own forehead protector. Ryosuke. Hinata came over with the forehead protector and handed it to Night God Ryosuke with a smile, asking him to help him tie it up. Shikamaru on the side glanced and couldn't help the corners of his mouth twitching. Ryosuke is really good at taking care of Ino and Hinata at the same time. This is also what Shikamaru admires most about Night God Ryosuke. It doesn't count if you practice hard by yourself and become the head student of the class from the penultimate counterattack. The key point is that he still has the energy to deal with the 2 girls and make them follow him willingly. If his father had half the ability of Night God Ryosuke, he wouldn't be scolded by his mother for every chess game. Thinking of this made Shikamaru sad, because he feels that he is similar to his father, and there is a high probability that he will be a strict wife in the future. How about learning from Ryosuke? Shikamaru couldn't help having such a thought in his heart. But after thinking about it, Shikamaru decided to forget it. The main reason is that he thinks that he has a high probability of not being able to learn it. Let's find a wife with a gentle personality in the future. At least I won't be scolded. Shikamaru thought. Uchiha Sasuke, who was surrounded by 2 or 3 girls, walked towards the classroom upon hearing this. When he left, he glanced at Naruto, who was doing push-ups not far away. This guy should be all right. Sasuke is inevitably a little worried. After all, in the past 2 years, he has never seen Naruto use the clone technique, and the battle between the two is basically a duel of physical skills. Ninjutsu is rarely used, and Naruto did not show his talent in ninjutsu, but he was very good at physical skills, making people mistakenly think that he is an individual ninjutsu. But in fact, Naruto has already learned the signature ninjutsu of Rasengan, and also learn and use. He developed moves like Big Ball Rasengan and Mini Rasengan himself. Now Naruto's strength is actually stronger than when Chunin took the exam. After all, during the Chunin exam, although he had Jiraiya's guidance, the training time was only 1 month after all, which was too short. But now it's different. Naruto has been practicing for more than 2 years. The control over chakra in the body has also improved too much. He is no longer Zheng Jin's Wuxiaomon. Now, if he can use Rasengan-type ninjutsu, Naruto can defeat Sasuke in minutes. The ordinary Chunin is no match for him at all. But Naruto has yet to get another signature ninjutsu of his own, the multiple shadow clone technique. Just a normal shadow clone, kind of not worthy of his massive chakra. After all, that's a full 120 calories of chakra. Yes, the total amount of chakra in Naruto's body now is more than the 100 calories in the original book. Because of the long-term exercise, the advantages of the Vortex Sage body have been well developed, and the active control of chakra to absorb and dissipate the Nine Tails chakra, so that Naruto's chakra is 20% more than the original historical track. And this extra 20 calories of chakra, it can be completely controlled by Naruto himself. Not like the 96 calories chakra that was used to suppress the gap in the Nine Tails seal. It's something he can't usually mobilize. But Naruto had seen Nine Tails in the sewers more than a year ago. One person and one fox have officially known each other for more than a year. Naruto would occasionally take the initiative to go into the sewer to see Nine Tails and chat with him. Therefore, if he speaks, Nine Tails will still take the initiative to restrain his chakra, so that he can use the remaining 96 cards of chakra smoothly. After a while, Sasuke also came out of the classroom wearing a forehead protector. He walked over to Naruto and looked at him. "Hey, you guys don't suddenly lose the chain," Sasuke said a little arrogantly. "Before I graduate and become a genin, you're still in ninja school. Brush." Naruto stretched his arms and stood up straight away. He looked at Sasuke with a smile and said, "Sasuke, are you caring about me? Cut. I just don't want to lose a good opponent." Sasuke turned his head arrogantly, not admitting that he was caring about Naruto. "Don't worry, it's just a clone technique. How difficult it is for me, Uzumaki Naruto." Naruto laughed and put his arm around Sasuke's shoulder. "Damn it, you're sweating." Sasuke pushed him angrily, but the strong Naruto couldn't push him away at all. I had no choice but to let him hug me. Over there, Ryosuke, the night god under the tree, watched the interaction between the two with a smile, with a gratified anti-smile on his face. "Ryosuke, you're smiling so weirdly." Ino on the side couldn't help but said. She looked over there and asked, "Is there anything strange about Sasuke and Naruto?" "No, I just think the relationship between the two of them is really good," Yagami Ryosuke said with a smile. Ino and Hinata didn't understand what he said. I thought it was just a literal good feeling. But Shikamaru at the side suddenly looked at Naruto and Sasuke with strange eyes and then shuddered inexplicably. No, Ryosuke was supposed to be joking, right? Shikamaru thought. If this is true, that's two. Uzumaki Naruto. At this time, Irika's voice came from the classroom over there. It's my turn. Naruto let go of his hand, smiled at Sasuke, then turned around and gave a thumbs up to Ryosuke, the night god under the tree over there, showing 2 rows of white teeth. Night god Ryosuke. You even learned this trick? Chapter 53. Night god Ryosuke regrets Mizuki's resentment. Second update. I recommend Naruto to practice with Might Guy. Is it wrong? At this moment, Yagami Ryosuke couldn't help but doubt himself a little. He knows that Naruto learns things very quickly. But you can't learn everything. There's no need to learn this kind of trick. Yagami Ryosuke is a bit regretful. However, now it seems that it is too late to regret. Naruto seems to have grown a little crooked. Fortunately, not quite crooked yet. In the classroom, Naruto walked in confidently. Naruto, go ahead, use the clone technique. Irika sat on the examiner's seat and said to Naruto, who came in. Looking at the tall Naruto in front of him, Irika also showed a gratified expression on his face. 2 years ago, this kid was still APK. He only knew how to play pranks all day long, which caused him a lot of trouble, greatly increased his workload, and caused him to have no time to find his girlfriend. 2 years later, Zhang Jin's prankster has become an obedient and sensible student in Irika's eyes. Don't bother him anymore. Lately, he's even found time to go on blind dates. Met a lot of beautiful girls. By the way, are you going to have dinner with Xiaoyi tonight? Or go to the movies with Lizzie? Irika couldn't help but began to struggle. And at this time, Naruto has also used the two-handed Madara, displaying the clone technique. Boom! A sheet of white smoke dispersed. 3 clones are revealed standing around Naruto. 3 clones, not bad. Irika came back to his senses, nodded with a smile, and said. Then in the column of grades behind Naruto's name, a stamp of passing was stamped. Naruto, this is your forehead protector. Keep it safe and don't lose it. Irika smiled and picked up a forehead protector and handed it to Naruto. Okay, teacher Irika. Naruto took the forehead protector happily and put it on his forehead excitedly. Irika-sensei, do I look good like this? He asked Irika, showing off. Well, it's very good looking and handsome, Irika said with a smile. On the other hand, Mizuki couldn't hold back any longer. He was very upset when he saw the fox kid in front of him. And this kid took Irika teacher one by one. Didn't he take Mizuki seriously? Okay, Naruto, hurry up and get out after the exam. There are others to take the exam later. Mizuki endured the anger in his heart and reminded with a smile. Okay, then teacher Irika, I'm leaving first. Naruto greeted Irika before turning around and leaving, ignoring Mizuki at all. This made both hands under the Mizuki table clenched into fists. Damn you, fox kid. Of course Naruto is not the kind of impolite person, but because he has known Ninetales for more than a year, he occasionally chats with Ninetales. So, through Ninetales, he knows that Mr. Mizuki has deep malice towards him. That's why he doesn't like to talk to this guy. You are obviously scolding me in your heart. Don't think I don't know if you pretend to be smiling. Out. Sasuke has been staring at the door since Naruto went in. Sasuke was relieved when he saw Naruto coming out wearing a forehead protector. This guy, he knows the clone technique. It made me worry for nothing for so long. Sasuke thought a little angrily, but I went up and congratulated Naruto. Sasuke, do you think I look handsome in this way? Naruto asked with a giggle, scratching the forehead protector on his forehead. Like a big idiot. Sasuke pouted and said, Cut, Sasuke, you're being dishonest again. Naruto laughed and put his arms around Sasuke's neck. Then he came to Ryosuke, the night god, to share his joy at this moment. Congratulations, Naruto. You can finally become a ninja, and you have to work hard in the future. Yagami Ryosuke patted Naruto on the shoulder and said encouragingly, Well, don't worry, Ryosuke. I'm practicing with Mr. Guy, and I'm working hard every day. Naruto said emphatically, Night God Ryosuke. It's better if you don't mention Might Guy. When I mention Might Guy, I feel a little guilty again. Fortunately, at this time, the name of Night God Ryosuke was also called in the classroom. "It's my turn, I'll go first," Night God Ryosuke said to the friend around him, and then walked into the front classroom. "Ryosuke, use the clone technique. It will be fine if it's you." Irika looked at the Night God Ryosuke who walked in, with a gratified smile on his face. Night God Ryosuke and Naruto are definitely the two most fulfilling students he has taught, because both of them counterattack from the tail of the crane, especially Ryosuke, directly from the second to last 10,000 years to the current chief student. This made Irika think that his teaching ability has been recognized. Otherwise, why would the students work so hard to improve themselves? "It must be my earnest teaching that has worked." "Irika-sensei, then I'll start," Yagami Ryosuke said, also ignoring Mizuki on the side. This made Mizuki even more angry. "One or two? They only have Irika in their eyes, right? Just wait. Sooner or later, I will let you all know how powerful I am." Mizuki thought viciously in his heart. If eyes can kill Night God Ryosuke, I am afraid that Night God Ryosuke has died countless times by now. Boom! Night God Ryosuke released the clone technique instantly with a simple knot seal. To be honest, he didn't practice the clone technique much. As for the body replacement technique, I have practiced it for a period of time. After all, this thing is very practical. Although it is not the legendary teleportation, it can play a very important role in the battle. But Night God Ryosuke has never used the clone technique, but his chakra control is too strong. It doesn't take much practice, but it works great. The white smoke dissipated, and 5 clones stood around Night God Ryosuke. This is already Night God Ryosuke restraining himself. Otherwise, he can create dozens of clones at will. Of course, it's not that he deliberately showed off his skills. What's so good about ordinary avatars? It's simply that his ninjutsu power bonus is too high. It directly overstated the effect of clone technique. Chapter 54, All Graduation, Yamanaka Reno. Meet the parents. Third update pass. Irika gave Night God Ryosuke a stamp of approval with a smile, then hand him a forehead protector. "We must continue to work hard in the future," Irika said. "Okay, Teacher Irika, then I'll go out first." Night God Ryosuke nodded, then turned and left the classroom with the forehead protector in hand. Come out, come out." Seeing Yagami Ryosuke coming out of the classroom, Ino and Hinata hurried up to meet him. As for being so excited, this kind of exam is not difficult for Ryosuke at all, Naruto on the side said with a bit of taste. "No way. Although his strength has improved now and he doesn't play pranks anymore, he still seems to be unpopular in the girl circle. Certainly, it's also possible that he licked Haruno Sakura so much that the other girls in the class thought Naruto already had his own, so they didn't think about him at all." Next, Haruno Sakura. At this time, little Sakura's name was also called in the classroom. "Little Sakura, come on." Naruto immediately shouted to come on. The little Sakura in front staggered and almost fell. She turned her head and gave Naruto a fierce look, and then walked into the classroom angrily. "Little Sakura, don't fail to graduate." At this time, Ino smiled and brightened the forehead protector tied around his waist, and said with a smile, "Don't worry, I will definitely graduate." Little Sakura finished speaking angrily, pushed open the door, and walked into the classroom. "Little Sakura should be fine," Hinata on the side said. "Hinata, I'm not worried about little Sakura," Ino said bluntly. Hinata just smiled, as if he had seen through everything. "Ryosuke, let me tie you up." Ino, who was a little guilty after being seen by Hinata, quickly took the forehead protector from Ryosuke, the night god, and helped him put it on. "All right." Ino withdrew his hand and looked at him with a smile. "What's wrong?" Night god Ryosuke asked her. "No, I just think Ryosuke, you seem to be getting more and more handsome." Ino smiled and put his arm around him. Yagami Ryosuke smiled upon hearing this. He didn't feel that way himself. The main thing is that he can see himself in the mirror every day. Maybe there are some subtle changes, but he doesn't feel much. The graduation exam lasted all morning, and it was basically over. People who successfully pass the exam and get a forehead protector are naturally happy. While sharing the joy with his family, he gloated at those unlucky ones who failed the exam. The gate of a ninja school. Yagami Ryosuke took Ino and Hinata to say hello to his mother Yagami Mizuki. Mom, this is Hinata. This is Ino. You've seen it before. Yagami Ryosuke pulled the embarrassed two people beside him and introduced. Even Ino, who is usually carefree, has become a little awkward at this time. Hi, Auntie. My name is Yamanaka Ino. Hi, Annie. I'm Haiga Hinata, a friend of Ryosuke. Hinata is embarrassed to say that she is the girlfriend of Night God Ryosuke. After all, this is the future mother-in-law. Hinata is very nervous now. She was afraid that Night God Ryosuke's mother would dislike her. But Hinata is completely overwhelmed. At this moment, Yagami Miwa looked at the two little girlfriends brought by her son and felt extremely happy. My son has a promising future. I knew I would bring my girlfriend to meet me right after graduation, and there were still two of them. But hearing the surnames of Hinata and Ino, Yagami Mizuki was still a little worried. After all, both Hyuga and Yamanaka are big families in the village, and their Yagami family is not a ninja family. Purely civilians. I don't know if my son can get the approval of the elders of these two big families. Even though Yagami Mizuki knew that her son had done very well in school in the past 2 years, he was already the head student in the class. But the ninja world is not as simple as a ninja school. As a medical chunin, Mizuki Yagami is well aware of the cruelty of the ninja world. I was also worried about whether my son would be hurt. Yagami Ryosuke brought Hinata and Ino over to say hello to his mother, Yagami Mizuki, and then told his mother that he was going out to have dinner with his classmates at noon. Dinning together? That's fine. Now that you've all graduated, there won't be as many opportunities to meet again in the future. Yagami Mizuki is also an experienced person, and Genin will be assigned to each Genin team until after graduation. If they want to meet again in the future, it will not be as simple as in the past. After all, ninjas have to go out on missions. However, for Genin, it is generally some D-level tasks. For example, help with weeding, taking care of children, looking for pets, and so on. Although cumbersome and boring. But at least there's no danger. Mainly to get Genins used to life as a Genin. Belonging is a transitional stage. After greeting his mother, Yagami Ryosuke followed Ino and Hinata to meet their parents. Ino's side, today is her mother, Yamanaka Rino. She's a very dignified and generous-looking lady. Seeing his daughter coming with a handsome little boy, Yamanaka also looked at Ryosuke with a smile. Mom, we're going out for dinner at noon, so I won't go home for dinner. Ino came up and said directly, by the way, this is Ryosuke, Mom. You've seen it before. Ino took Ryosuke's hand and said, Yamanaka Ryosuke had been to Yamanaka's flower shop to buy flowers before, so he also met Ino's mother a few times. Hi, Andy. I'm Ino's classmate, Yagami Ryosuke. Yagami Ryosuke greeted politely. This is my future mother-in-law. You must be polite. Hello, Ryosuke. Our Ino usually has a bad temper, so it doesn't bother you. Yamanaka Rino is also someone who has been there. She and Ino's father, Yamanaka Hai, also met when they were in school. At the beginning, the two of them were also childhood sweethearts, just like the night gods Ryosuke and Ino today. So Yamanaka Lia naturally understands the relationship between the two, so she said that. Mother. Ino pulled his mother's arm with embarrassment. No, Auntie. Ino has a very good personality. I should have troubled her to take care of her. Yagami Ryosuke said with a smile. Ino did not show any bad temper in front of him, but not in front of others, especially Shikamaru and Chai. Just like Ino's younger brother, he is often called around. But Yishun Ryosuke also knows that it is because the three of them have a good relationship. They're friends who grew up together, and the personality relationship of the three. It's not that Ino has a bad temper. It's not like Shikamaru and Chai are particularly easy to play with either. It is mainly divided. Chapter 55, The Attitude of the Hyuga Family. Graduation Dinner. Fourthmore, Ino's mother has a good sense of night, God Ryosuke. I feel that Yagami Ryosuke is an obedient and sensible boy, and he is good-looking. She obviously knows that her daughter is a good-looking party, and Ryosuke is the chief student of this year. At least it will be an official Jonin's achievement in the future. Not worthy of their Ino. So relatively recognized. But her husband, Yamanaka, is probably not so easy to talk to. Fortunately, the person who came today is not Ino's father. Otherwise, Knight God Ryosuke doubts whether he will be on the blacklist of his future father-in-law. After all, he tricked the old father-in-law's little padded jacket away. Yamanaka is afraid that he even wants to kill him, right? For Ino's parents, it's actually easy to solve. The most troublesome thing is Hyuga's side. When Yagami Ryosuke and Hinata met her father Hyuga Hayashi in the past, the latter didn't look good. On the one hand, it is dissatisfaction with the eldest daughter. On the other hand, it is also dissatisfaction with Ryosuke, the night god, a mere ninja of civilian origin. So what if he is the chief student? The ninja school has a chief student every year. Is it possible that all of them are promising? Fortunately, Night God Ryosuke, the chief student, has a high gold content because of Uchiha Sasuke as the background board. At least Hyuga Hayashi didn't get mad on the spot and say something nasty. Mostly just ignore him. Go home early, don't play outside too late. After Hyuga Hayashi gave some casual advice, he turned around and left with 2 ninjas from Hyuga's family. I didn't say a word to Night God Ryosuke the whole time. It seemed very indifferent. Sorry, Ryosuke. After his father left, Hinata also said to Ryosuke with an apologetic face, "My father may be in a bad mood. Not against you. It's okay. I didn't take it to heart." Yagami Ryosuke took Hinata's little hand and said with a smile, "For Hyuga Hayashi's attitude, Night God Ryosuke really didn't take it seriously. Not because of how big he is. It's because Yagami Ryosuke knows very well in his heart that no matter what Hyuga Hayashi's attitude towards him is, it won't change anything. Hyuga Hayashi agrees with him being with Hinata or disagrees. Could it be that Night God Ryosuke really listens to him? As for saying, the influence of the Hyuga clan? Feel sorry, Night God Ryosuke doesn't look down on the Hyuga clan, but the Hyuga clan really has nothing for him to look up to, not to mention the deep-rooted branch house culture. In terms of strength, the Hyuga clan who can't even get a Kaga level, what qualifications do they have to make the Night God Ryosuke look up to them? Yagami Ryosuke was already Kaga level when he was 11 years old. And now, he can hit average Kaga level with one hand. The Hyuga clan doesn't even have a Kaga level ninja. Even if the whole clan comes together, it's not enough for Ryosuke, the night god, to fight with one hand. So, what does Yagami Ryosuke have to take to heart? If Hyuga Hayashi is smart, Night God Ryosuke would still recognize him as his father-in-law. If not smart, at worst, just pretend that Hinata doesn't have this father. Anyway, Hinata was not happy in the Hyuga clan. I will be with Night God Ryosuke in the future. So what if I don't return to the Hyuga clan? Could it be that Hyuga Hayashi dared to call someone to kidnap Hinata? Night God Ryosuke gave him 2 hands. He doesn't even have the ability. Certainly, in this matter, Night God Ryosuke has to take care of Hinata's emotions. So unless the Hyuga clan commits suicide by themselves, Night God Ryosuke is too lazy to learn from them. As a big family, in the eyes of the real strong, it doesn't even count as a fart. When did you ever see Uchiha Madara put the so-called ninja in his eyes? Aben only has big pillars in his eyes. For lunch, we chose a barbecue restaurant run by the Akamichi family. In terms of money, everyone is AA, and they will not intentionally cheat Chai. Although Chai doesn't care about the money either. This time, there are many more people coming to the dinner party than last time when Yagami Ryosuke and the others had a picnic. 9 of the Futurewood Industry, 12 small strong came. Except for Hyuganiji from Guy's class, everyone else came. I didn't expect all of our class to graduate smoothly. When I saw those who failed the exams in Class B and C, I was worried that there would be someone in our class, A, who failed the exam. I didn't expect that there were none in the end. Inuzuka took a sip of the juice and suddenly smiled and said to Naruto, who was beside him, "Naruto, you are deliberately keeping a hand, right? I have never seen a clone technique before, and I thought you hadn't learned it yet." "Cut. It's just a clone technique. I don't rarely use it." Naruto had a smug expression on his face. He is also in a good mood today. If the little Sakura next to him can look at him a few more times, he may be in a better mood. Pity. Little Sakura's attention was on Sasuke on the other side, and she didn't even look at Naruto. This made Naruto couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable with Sasuke. We will be officially Genin from now on. Inuzuka is also a ninja. Inuzuka Taba smiled happily and couldn't help reaching out to touch his forehead protector again. Tooth, it's too early for you to be happy. Yagami Ryosuke glanced at Inuzuka Fong, smiled, and poured cold water on him. What does that mean? Inuzuka Tooth looked over with a puzzled expression. The same goes for everyone else. Ryosuke, are you saying we're not officially Genin yet? Shikamaru thought about it and remembered that his father had vaguely mentioned that there seemed to be a test after graduation. But Nara Lujo obviously didn't go into details, but simply mentioned it. Shikamaru has a good memory, so he remembered it. In fact, the situation in other people's homes is similar. Their parents certainly know that graduating from ninja school doesn't count as an official Genin. They still have to pass Genin's assessment and lead the Genin to say that you can do it before they can truly become an official Genin. Otherwise, you have to go back and read it for another year. Chapter 56, Classification, Yagami Ryosuke's Arrangement. Fifth change, hearing Shikamaru's words. The others looked at Night God Ryosuke. Wait for him to testify. You should all know that after we graduate from ninja school, we will be assigned to a Genin to form a team, right? Night God Ryosuke said unhurriedly. I know this. Genin who just graduated will form a Genin team in groups of 3, and the team will be led by a Genin who will be our future instructor. Naruto said quickly. This is what he heard from Shaoli. Everyone else knows a little bit about it, too. That is, little Sakura and Sasuke don't know much about it. One of them was born as a civilian. He was the only one left in a family, and no one told him this common sense. Then do you know that Genin, the leader of the team, will conduct a test on the same day as the Genin team under him? Yagami Ryosuke said, if we didn't pass the test, we would be sent back to study for another year. Don't. When the others heard the news, they immediately showed painful expressions, especially Inuzuka Kiba, who had a happy face just now. Now he put on the pain mask directly. No, I don't want to go back to school, Inuzuka Taba yelled. I will definitely pass the test of leading Genin, and I will definitely not be sent back to repeat. It depends on what kind of Genin you've been assigned to. Night God Ryosuke glanced at him with a smile and said, if you are assigned to some talkative Genin, then the test is basically just a formality. But I heard that there is an elite Genin named Hatake Kakashi who has very strict requirements on the students under him. He has already eliminated several groups of Genin teams. He claims to be the leader Genin with a 0 pass rate. While saying this, Night God Ryosuke glanced at Naruto and Sasuke. After all, Kakashi will soon be their leader Genin. This time, with the advanced foreshadowing of the Night God Ryosuke, after they knew that their leader Genin was Kakashi, their faces changed in fear. Interesting to think about. That's right. Night God Ryosuke is actually trying to scare them on purpose. It is said that other people may be sent back to repeat their studies, but none of these people present were sent back to repeat their studies. On the one hand, their abilities have reached the official Genin standard, and there is no shortage of abilities. On the other hand, it is also their background. Not to mention Haruno Sakura, a civilian ninja, but he was assigned to the 7th class and was destined not to be eliminated. Others, which one is not Konoha's big family background? Nara, Yamanaka, Hyuga, Inuzuka, Aburame, Akamichi, and even the exterminated Uchiha. Which one is not the Konoha clan? As for Naruto, that's the prince. Have you heard that the prince was eliminated to repeat his studies? So, Night God Ryosuke is saying this now, but it's just as bad taste. Just tease them. But if it is other civilians, it is really possible to be beaten back and repeat the exam. And some simply gave up being ninjas. So Night God Ryosuke is not exactly scaring people. This is indeed true. It's just a score. Bless you, Sage of 6 Paths. Be sure to arrange a good-tempered leader Jinin for me. As soon as Yagami Ryosuke finished speaking, Inazuka Fong was already muttering. Aburame Shino, who was sitting next to him, rolled his eyes under the sunglasses when he heard it. Sage of Six Paths has nothing to do to bless you with such a boring thing? The next day, the prospective Genins who passed the graduation exam yesterday all came to the ninja school and were ready to be divided into classes. Yagami Ryosuke also came to the classroom early, sat, and waited for the class division to start. He was also very curious. Which class would he be assigned to? Originally, Josei 3 classes seemed to have been specially arranged. If there were no accidents, there was a high probability that he would not be able to get in. In this case, they can only be assigned to the same class with some other characters, and there's a high probability that they will not arrange any real director Jinin to lead the team. If that's the case, Night God Ryosuke plans to directly assign a shadow clone at that time, and let the shadow clone follow the team to perform those D-level tasks. And he continued to practice. Waited in the classroom for a few minutes. Everyone was discussing noisily who they would be in the same group with later. At this time, Irika also walked in with a roster. Okay, everyone be quiet. Irika shouted loudly. First of all, congratulations on graduating successfully. Next, I will announce the class division. There will be 3 students in each class. We will start from the first class. Irika picked up the roster and read along. First class, Sato Ichiro, Coriander Kanai, Kazama Kuzadako. The 3 people whose names were called also looked at each other and smirked at each other. Second class, the third shift. Irika kept saying the names one by one, but there is no Night God Ryosuke's name. Seventh class, Haruno Sakura, Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke. Yeah, I'm in the same class as little Sakura. Naruto jumped up happily when he heard that his name was in the same class as little Sakura. Great, I'm in the same class as Sasuke. And Haruno Sakura looked at the cool Uchiha Sasuke over there with heartache. He completely ignored Naruto, who was trying to get her attention. Irika calmed Naruto down with a smile, and then continued to read the following names. Squad 8, Inazuka Kiba, Aburame Shino, Haiga Hinata. Class 9, Class 10, Yamanaka, Ino, Narashikamu, Akimichi Chai. Okay, this is the division of everyone. Do you remember who your teammates are? After reading, Irika put down the roster in his hand, looked at the faces in the classroom, and said with a smile. At this time, Ino suddenly raised his hand and asked, Mr. Irika, why didn't you say Ryosuke's name just now? The others also looked at Irika suspiciously. Yagami Ryosuke is the chief student of their class A, so it is impossible to fail to graduate, right? Night God Ryosuke has a special arrangement, and I will go to see Hokage-sama with me later. Irika explained, Oh my god, I'm going to see Master Hokage. Amazing, as expected of the chief student. So, is Night God Ryosuke going to work with Hokage-sama in the future? It's hard to say. Maybe there is another team arrangement. In the classroom, after hearing Irika's explanation, everyone started discussing. Some people looked at Night God Ryosuke with envy. On the contrary, Night God Ryosuke himself frowned. Sarutobi Hiruzen going to arrange himself personally? Night God Ryosuke always felt that this old monkey didn't hold back any good farts. Chapter 57. Sarutobi Hiruzen's Little Thoughts. Fudge Night, God Ryosuke, seek the first order at this time. In Hokage's office, a group of Jonin are gathered here, watching the classroom through the crystal ball. Is this brat the chief student of this year? Kakashi glanced at the Night God Ryosuke in the crystal ball with one eye. He vaguely remembered meeting this little ghost in the Ichiraka ramen restaurant more than 2 years ago. Does Hokage-sama have any special plans for Ryosuke? On the side, Yuehong asked curiously. In the past 2 years, Yagami Ryosuke also often visited Yuehong's house as a guest, and occasionally even slept there. Therefore, the relationship between the two is also like that of siblings. It is normal for Yuehong to care about the arrangement of Yagami Ryosuke. This old man has other arrangements, and you will know when the time comes. Sarutobi Hiruzen said with a smile, and even played tricks. Okay, the class placement is over now. It's time for you to meet these future students. Sarutobi Hiruzen waved them off and let them go. It's really troublesome. I'll take a step first. Asuma muttered something, then turned and walked away. But other people are not as casual as Asuma, and they dare not directly complain about troubles in front of Mr. Hokage. But who told people that Asuma is the son of third Hokage? It is reasonable for people to be rude to their father, but they're just subordinates. Of course not so casual. WWW in classrooms. After Irika announced the results of class placement, everyone was asked to wait in the classroom for their respective leader Jinin to come and lead them. Ryosuke, go to see Hokage-sama with the teacher 220. Irika said to Night God Ryosuke. Okay, teacher Irika. Yagami Ryosuke nodded, followed by appeasing the emotions of Ino and Hinata around him, and then left the classroom with Irika. I don't know what Hokage-sama will do with Ryosuke. Hinata watched the Night God Ryosuke disappear from sight and said worriedly, "Don't worry, Ryosuke is so strong. Master Hokage must have taken this into consideration before making special arrangements for Ryosuke. And after meeting the leader Jinin later, we'll find out when we go to Beijing." Ino at the side patted Hinata at this time and comforted him. But in fact, she also has some worries and reluctance in her heart. It just didn't show up. The other side, after Yagami Ryosuke followed Irika all the way out of the ninja school, he went straight to the Hokage building in the center of the village. On the road, Night God Ryosuke was also thinking about how third Hokage would arrange himself. Since he was called over on purpose, there is a high probability that there is a special arrangement. It will not be like a normal Jinin team. Directly arrange a leader Jinin, and then take 3 Jinin to perform some simple tasks, so as to adapt to the ninja life. Although I am the chief student of this year, the talent shown is not exaggerated, and it cannot be compared with the talents of Kakashi and Uchiha Itachi at all. So the possibility that third Hokage intends to take me as an apprentice is basically zero. Since it's not about recruiting apprentices, then either they plan to arrange a special team for me, or they plan to recruit me and let me join Umbu. Night God Ryosuke actually already knew it in his heart. Nothing more than these 2 possibilities. The former is more likely. After all, the criteria for joining Umbu, you have to be a Chunin at least, right? I joined Umbu without hearing of Genin. For the special team, it may be the team of Genin who graduated in the past few years, or simply give me a one-man team and then arrange a trustworthy Genin to lead. The reason for doing so is nothing more than 1 point. It's just that he fell in love with the talent of Ryosuke, the Night God, and planned to take him for his own use. But because the talent shown by Night God Ryosuke is not worthy of Sarutobi Hiruzen's large investment, so the most is to arrange someone on his own to subtly brainwash Night God Ryosuke. Maybe give a little favor or something, like a ninjutsu scroll, or draw a pie. Anyway, the benefits are definitely limited. You're not planning to use the will of fire to brainwash me? That's not interesting. Yagami Ryosuke sneered inwardly. After thinking about it, if Sarutobi Hiruzen really arranges this way, he will just let a shadow clone deal with it at that time. In his own words, just keep practicing. Exactly. Night God Ryosuke still feels that his body is still almost meaningless. He tried it before, and ordinary kunai shurikens could no longer pierce his skin. But this is only under normal strength. If Night God Ryosuke attacks himself with the power of Jinin, it can still cause some small skin injuries. Although that wound healed in the blink of an eye with his recovery ability. But Night God Ryosuke is still not satisfied. Such a physique can't withstand those powerful ninjutsu attacks at all. There's still a long way to go before his goal, to resist the attack of a Kaga-level powerhouse without injury. Although Night God Ryosuke does not have to pursue this level of physique, but people always set a goal for themselves. It's like Naruto's goal is to become Hokage. Sasuke's goal is to kill Uchiha Itachi to avenge the innocent souls of the Uchiha clan. Night God Ryosuke's goal at this stage is to cultivate a physique that can resist the attacks of Kage-level powerhouses without getting hurt. See clearly, it is physique, not ninjutsu under the blessing of Chakra or something. It's just purely physical/physical defense. To do this, even for Night God Ryosuke, it is very difficult. Randomly guessing along the way, the two soon arrived at the Hokage building. When I see Lord Hokage later, remember to be polite. Irika turned around and warned. Don't worry, Irika-sensei, I'm not Naruto. Yagami Ryosuke said with a laugh. Right? Irika nodded. If it was Naruto, he would really have to worry about it. After all, as far as Naruto's personality is concerned, even if it has changed in the past 2 years, it is still difficult to change his bluffing and indifferent appearance. Hokage office. Irika knocked on the door. Is that Irika? Come in. An old man's voice came from inside the door. Follow Irika to open the door and walk in with Night God Ryosuke. Master Hokage, the Night God brought it. Irika said respectfully. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was sitting reviewing documents, also raised his head to look at Night God Ryosuke in front of him. You are the Night God Ryosuke, right? Not bad. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded with a smile. Master third generation, hello. Yagami Ryosuke said. Well, Irika, you go out first. Sarutobi Hiruzen turned to look at Irika and ordered. Okay, then I'll go down first. Irika turned and left after hearing this. He closed the door of Hokage's office smoothly. Ryosuke, do you know why I called you here today? Sarutobi Hiruzen took a puff of his cigarette, looking enigmatic. Is it because the number of people graduating from our class just happened to be one more? Night God Ryosuke asked. There is this reason, but not all of them. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the Night God Ryosuke in front of him, and he vaguely saw the shadow of his disciple Orochimaru from the opponent's body. Although the talent shown by Night God Ryosuke is far less than that of Orochimaru, but both of them are equally smart, and they are calm enough in any situation. Even when meeting his Hokage, Night God Ryosuke, Jinin, who is only 12 years old this year, he is very calm. This makes Sarutobi Hiruzen a little bit impressed. Pity, Night God Ryosuke's talent is still a little bit interesting. This life is the best, just an elite Jinin. Otherwise, Sarutobi Hiruzen wants to cultivate him well so that he can assist his grandson Konohamaru in the future. That's right. In Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart, his younger son Sarutobi Isuma does not have the talent to become Hokage. On the one hand, the strength is not enough, and the situation cannot be controlled at all. On the other hand, the personality is not smooth enough, too impulsive in doing things, and easy to be emotional. Such a character cannot become the shadow of a village. Of course, we are talking about Konoha here. For other villages, that's another story. Therefore, Sarutobi Hiruzen began to train his grandson Konohamaru early. Even giving him the name Konohamaru represents Sarutobi Hiruzen's expectations for him. After all, the grandson is still young, and if he is carefully cultivated, he can always be cultivated into an appearance that satisfies him. The only problem, probably, is that Sarutobi Hiruzen himself doesn't know if he can survive to that time. So, he has to make some preparations in advance. At least he has to pave the way for his grandson, lest his calculations fail. Night God Ryosuke didn't know Sarutobi Hiruzen's inner thoughts. If he knew, Sarutobi Hiruzen wanted to train Konohamaru to be the 5th Hokage. You can't help but laugh out loud. Konohamaru? Hokage? Not to mention Konohamaru, it doesn't sound ominous at all. Just his age alone is a big problem. How old is Konohamaru this year? 8 years old only. And when did Sarutobi Hiruzen die? Just this year. So, he's Sarutobi Hiruzen, let alone seeing Konohamaru become an adult. Even if he wants to see him graduate from the ninja school, it is impossible. But none of these Sarutobi Hiruzen knew. He planned according to the normal situation and felt that it would not be a problem for him to live another 10 years. 10 years later, Konohamaru turned 18. Just an adult, take over his class. In the past 10 years, Sarutobi Hiruzen will also cultivate a group of trustworthy team for the executive. When the time comes to help him to Hokage's position, He won't be afraid of being ostracized by those ninjas. Pity. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought well. But the reality is far more cruel than he imagined. He probably would never have imagined that he would burp this year. It is impossible to complete his so-called inheritance plan at all. Ryosuke, what is your dream? Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly asked such a question at this time. Night God Ryosuke thought for a while, and then said, I want to become stronger and have the ability to protect my beloved, protect everything I have now and in the future. He didn't hypocritically say anything about protecting the village. With Ryosuke's current strength, there is no need to pretend to be a character who loves the village. He will protect only those around him who love him and whom he loves. As for the village, to be honest, where is life? But Konoha's environment is indeed the best. If it's not necessary, Yagami Ryosuke doesn't want to judge the village or something. Do you want to protect the one you love? Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded with a knowing smile, seeming to agree with the night god Ryosuke's dream. So, as a freshly graduated genin, how long do you think it will take you to gain that kind of power? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked. Night god Ryosuke shook his head. I'm not sure. He said 4.3. This time maybe 10 years, maybe 10 years. Sarutobi Hiruzen said, Ryosuke, you are very smart. You should know that a ninja does not have enough resources to cultivate. His growth is limited. Like your good friend Narashikamaru, they are all from a ninja family. From the moment they were born, their future growth path has been arranged by their parents at home. Up. Although you are stronger than them now, you have graduated as a chief student and become a genin. But if you don't have the same resources as theirs, then your internship to power increase speed will slow down. But Shikamaru and the others will become stronger and stronger. Until you surpass you, then you may not be able to achieve the overtake again for the rest of your life. Are you willing? Sarutobi Hiruzen's words carried a hint of bewitchment, as if he wanted to see the expression of loss and unwillingness from Night God Ryosuke's face. But what a pity. He was disappointed. Night God Ryosuke is not lost or unwilling. I will work harder, even harder than before, and I believe that the village will not treat any worthy young people badly. Yagami Ryosuke said. Sarutobi Hiruzen paused for a cigarette, and Ryosuke's answer made it impossible for him to continue his prepared speech. This is not the same as what he thought. You kid, you don't want oil and salt, right? Chapter 58. Join Umbu's assessment. Is Yuzuki Shien a teammate? Seek the first order. Ryosuke, you are right. The village will not treat any worthy young ninja badly. Sarutobi Hiruzen was smiling on the surface, but he was cursing in his heart. This kid, why is he such a ghost? Did he really think so? Or did he say it on purpose? For a while, Sarutobi Hiruzen was also a little confused about what Night God Ryosuke was really thinking. But now that this has been said, Sarutobi Hiruzen will no longer brainwash Night God Ryosuke. Anyway, brainwashing can be done slowly in the future. He still has a long time, and he can slowly do Night God Ryosuke's thought work. No more. Even if Yagami Ryosuke really doesn't want to get in no matter what, then the left and right are just a little favor. Sarutobi Hiruzen himself will not lose anything. And a boy who can reach the limit of elite genin, isn't he just letting him handle it as he pleases? Can it be reversed? Sarutobi Hiruzen thinks he is Ryosuke, and he is also very confident in his own way of deceiving Dafa. If I can't fool you today, it doesn't mean I won't fool you in the future. Sooner or later, you will become the shape of the old man. Therefore, Sarutobi Hiruzen no longer cared about Ryosuke's unconventional way of playing cards. He smiled and said directly, Ryosuke, I can give you a choice here, as long as you can complete what I gave you. Test. Then I will allow you to join Umbu. You probably don't know what Umbu is. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought that Ryosuke was just an ordinary boy who didn't know what Umbu was. So he explained Umbu's status in the village to Night God Ryosuke. Certainly, it's a bit exaggerated. For example, the benefits of Umbu he mentioned. That's right, Umbu does have those benefits, but they are not enjoyed by ordinary Umbu members. You have to be at least a squad leader, right? And Umbu's team leader. The worst strength is also formal Genin. General Special Genin are not eligible. And above the squad leader, there are sub-captains who manage 4 squads. Above that are Minister Umbu and the Deputy Minister. Those benefits that Sarutobi Hiruzen said. That is something that can only be enjoyed gradually if one has a certain status in Umbu. What to watch the ninjutsu in the Book of Seals. Annual year-end rewards. Ordinary Umbu members can't get these things at all. They can also borrow some common ninjutsu in Umbu's library. Even if it is a C-level ninjutsu, it has to be exchanged for contributions. But Umbu does have benefits. At least if Umbu ninjas exchange contributions for ninjutsu, the requirements will be much lower than ordinary ninjas. About 1/3 of the contribution can be exchanged. The meaning of Sarutobi Hiruzen is obviously to want Ryosuke, the night god, to join Umbu and then brainwash him a little bit and train him to be his own. It will be convenient to give them Sarutobi family dogs in the future. Pity. Night god Ryosuke has long known that Sarutobi Hiruzen, the 3rd Hokage, will not survive this year. Those plans after him will never be realized. Want to join Umbu? Yagami Ryosuke thought about it and thought there was no problem. Anyway, Sarutobi Hiruzen doesn't have a good few months to live. Now assume the identity of Umbu. When Orochimaru's Konoha collapse plan is over and 5th Hokage Tsunade takes office, if he shows a little bit of real strength, he will be able to mix well. As for being a dog for the Sarutobi clan, it's beautiful to think about. Just keep thinking. Master 3rd generation. Do you know what kind of test it is? Thinking in my heart, on the surface, Night God Ryosuke asked with a very interested look. If it's you, Ryosuke, I believe you can pass this test. The wily Sarutobi Hiruzen thinks he sees it all. At this time, my heart is beautiful. This feeling of mastering the fate of others fascinated him. Otherwise, why did he hold on to Hokage's position so hard that he wouldn't let out? Isn't it just not willing to bear such power? Come out, Sarutobi Hiruzen said suddenly into the air. Next second, a ninja wearing an Umbu uniform and a white dog mask suddenly appears in Hokage's office. Master Hokage. A cold voice came from behind the mask. Night God Ryosuke recognized this Umbu at a glance. Isn't it Uzuki Shien, who hasn't seen each other for a while? Now I have a task for you. This is the content of the task. Sarutobi Hiruzen throws a quest scroll to Uzuki Yugao. The latter reached out to catch it. This time, you only need to be responsible for supervising the mission. How to complete it will be left to Ryosuke, the Night God. Your task is to ensure the safety of Night God Ryosuke and rescue him in time when he is in danger. Understand? Said Sarutobi Hiruzen. Understood, because Uzuki Shien nodded, looked at Yagami Ryosuke, who was staring at him, and a smile flashed in his eyes. The kid back then has grown up too. Uzuki Shien thought to herself, Ryosuke, this is the old man's test for you. As long as you pass this test, you will be an official Umbu ninja in the future. Sarutobi Hiruzen said to Night God Ryosuke again. Go. The old man hopes that you can pass the test, and then the old man will have a surprise for you. Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hand and let the two go down. As for the surprise in his mouth, Night God Ryosuke estimated that it was nothing more than a C-level ninjutsu or a B-level ninjutsu. The high probability is that the B-level is mainly the C-level, which is a bit unhandy. No matter how you look at it, a mere C-level ninjutsu can't be considered a surprise, can it? What's more, Sarutobi Hiruzen should know in his heart that Night God Ryosuke has already learned several ninjutsu left by his father, and there should be no shortage of C-level ninjutsu. So the so-called surprise he can give at this time, no matter how you think about it, must be a B-level ninjutsu. Pity, Night God Ryosuke is not the same as he was 2 years ago. A mere B-level ninjutsu? He really can't see it. After Uzuki Shien left Master Hokage, the two came to the roof of a building. At this time, Uzuki Shien also took off the mask on her face, revealing her fair and delicate face. Ryosuke, Congratulations on your graduation, Yuzuki Shien said with a faint smile. Sister Shien, so you are Umbu's ninja? Yagami Ryosuke said with a smile. Then we will be colleagues from now on. That will have to wait for you to pass Master Hokage's test. Yuzuki Shien said, opened the quest scroll in her hand, glanced at it, and then closed it. Sister Shien, what is the mission? Night God Ryosuke asked curiously. He was really curious what kind of mission Sarutobi Hiruzen had arranged for him. Assassination mission. The target is suspected to be an enemy spy, and its strength is about the same as that of Chunin, so it's not easy for you to deal with. Yuzuki Shien is a little worried about the safety of the Night God Ryosuke, and asked him to assassinate an enemy country Chunin. Is this a bit over the standard? Although, each of Umbu's ninjas can complete such tasks independently. But Yagami Ryosuke is just a kid who just graduated from ninja school. How can he compare with those ninjas in Umbu who are used to killing and have experienced trials and tribulations in blood and fire? What on earth is Hokage-sama thinking? Could it be that he deliberately didn't want Ryosuke to pass the test? Yuzuki Shien couldn't help making up the Hokage of Sarutobi Hiruzen in her heart. No matter how you look at it, this task is deliberately embarrassing Yagami Ryosuke. Assassination of enemy spies? No problem. Night God Ryosuke is quite confident. Don't underestimate these enemy spies. Every simple role that can be sent to perform spy missions. Yuzuki Shien saw that Yagami Ryosuke didn't seem to take this mission seriously, so she also opened her mouth to remind, not wanting Yagami Ryosuke to underestimate the opponent too much. Don't worry, Sister Shien, I haven't been playing all the time for the past 2 years. Yagami Ryosuke said with a smile, as long as you have confidence, I will give you an hour to prepare, and we will gather at the gate of the village in an hour. After Yuzuki Shien finished speaking, she put on her mask again, followed by performing the body flicker technique that disappeared in the blink of an eye. 1 hour, then go meet Hinata and Ino first. Yagami Ryosuke thought to himself. He wasn't prepared for anything either. It's nothing more than talking to the people around you. 10 minutes later, Night God Ryosuke found Ino, who had already met the leader Jinin. Then I took Ino to find Hinata, who was being tested in their 8th class. Training ground number 3. Ishin Ryosuke used to go to No. 4 training ground to practice before, but in fact number 3 training ground is not next to number 4 training ground, but separated by a long distance at the north and south ends of the village. In training ground number 3, Night God Ryosuke found Hinata and the others who were still testing. Let's wait, Night God Ryosuke said to Ino beside him. Anyway, he still has more than 40 minutes of time. Not in a hurry. By the way, it is also a good time to see the strength of Hinata and their 8th class. Jinin, the instructor of the 8th class, is Kurini Yuhi, who is very familiar with the Night God Ryosuke. At this time, Yuahong split a shadow clone to fight with 3 students, and her body is standing on the other side to observe. But it's a battle, but it's actually more like a pointer. Kurinai Yuhi would point out the shortcomings of the student from time to time and give them some suggestions. After about 10 minutes, probably Yuahong felt that it was almost the same. So an illusion went over and directly brought down Hinata and the 3 of them. If she fights seriously, the 3 rookie genin who haven't even performed the mission can be dealt with in one face-to-face. But Yuahong is not Kakashi. She will not be as strict as Kakashi. She just wants to examine the strength and respective characteristics of her 3 students. After testing, Yuahong found that the strongest among the 3 was actually Hinata, who seemed weakest. As for Inazukiya and Aburame Shino, they have their own characteristics. Overall, she is very satisfied with these 3 students. Ryosuke, did Hokage-sama tell you to go there? After the test was over, Hinata hurried over and returned to the situation of Yagami Ryosuke. Nothing, just inviting me to join Umbu. Yagami Ryosuke said with a smile. Umbu, are those ninjas wearing black clothes and masks? Inazukiya, who just came over, also opened his eyes and asked curiously. He also doesn't know about Umbu's situation, but at least he knows that there is an Umbu department in the village, and I heard that those who can join Umbu are all elite ninjas. Ryosuke, Lord Hokage asked you to join Umbu. Kurenai came over, greeted Ryosuke and Ino, and then asked, Sister Hong, Lord Hokage didn't directly let me join Umbu. He gave me a test, and only if I pass the test can I join Umbu. Knight God Ryosuke did not hide anything, and directly told Sarutobi Hiruzen about his arrangement. As for confidential or not, feel sorry. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't say it, but Knight God Ryosuke acquiesced that this thing can be said. That's it. Then you must be careful, and don't be careless during the task. Sunset Red said seriously. As she has just been promoted to the official Junin not long ago, it is clear that joining Umbu is not an easy thing. Since Master Hokage has given a test, then this test must test the ability of Knight God Ryosuke in all aspects. The difficulty involved is definitely not something that ordinary Genin who just graduated can handle. Good promise good. Although she also knows that the Knight God Ryosuke's strength is very good, but only among peers. Compared with the real veteran ninja, Yagami Ryosuke still has a lot to learn. Don't worry, Miss Hong. I will be careful, Yagami Ryosuke said. Then he touched Hinata's little head with a worried look on his face. Don't worry. Don't you know my strength? He said softly. Hearing this, Hinata also nodded. She didn't speak, just gently took the hand of Knight God Ryosuke. After saying goodbye to Hinata and Ino, Yagami Ryosuke went to Konoha Hospital again, found his mother Yagami Mizuki, who was at work, and told her that he was going out of the village to perform a mission and he might not come back tonight. Be careful. Be careful on the road. Yagami Mizuki looked at her son, who was almost taller than her. Although she was worried, she also knew that it was the ninja's duty to perform the task. She could not stop her son and tell him not to go. So, Yagami Mizuki could only tell her son to be careful in everything and to put her own life first in case of danger. As for the mission, it doesn't matter if you give up. But, Chapter 59, out of the village to perform tasks. Kill. It's that easy to open Manjiki. Seek the first order village entrance. Yagami Ryosuke arrived just before the hour. It's on time, let's go. Brush. The figure of Yuzuki Shien suddenly appeared, and after speaking to the Knight God Ryosuke, he handed a certificate of leaving the village to the two Konoha door gods. Knight God Ryosuke? Is that the civilian genius who just graduated this year? I didn't expect to leave the village to perform a mission so soon. Gang Ziti and Shinyue Izumo looked at the two figures that gradually disappeared in front of them and couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Today is supposed to be the day when these freshly graduated genins are divided into classes, right? Unexpectedly, just after the class was assigned, this civilian genius was assigned a mission to go out of the village. Is Master Hokage interested in cultivating it? The two thought about it. Leave Konoha village. Yishan Ryosuke suddenly felt like the sky was high and the birds were flying and the sea was wide and the fish was leaping. He couldn't help but smiled and looked at the blue sky, then activated the body flicker technique under his feet and easily followed Yuzuki Shien in front of him. After driving for half an hour, the two had left Konoha village for about 40 kilometers. The speed of the two is basically maintained at 80 kilometers per hour. Such a long-distance running speed is difficult for ordinary chinins to achieve. But Yuzuki Shien found that Yagami Ryosuke didn't even look out of breath. It looked even easier than myself. Rest for a while, but your strength is really good. Yuzuki Shien said, Sister Shien, I have been exercising my body all the time, and my physical skills are not bad at all. Yagami Ryosuke said with a smile. When you go out to perform tasks in the future, don't call me by my name, but call me by my code name, Purple or the Captain. Yuzuki Shien reminded. Okay, Miss Shien. Yagami Ryosuke said with a grin. Yuzuki Shien gave him an angry look. This means that the relationship between the two is good, so there is nothing wrong with joking. But if it was someone else's behavior, Yuzuki Shien would probably be angry. However, Yagami Ryosuke was only joking and then changed his name to Yuzuki Shien as the captain. After all, The identities of Umbu members are confidential. Otherwise, why do they wear a mask and cover their whole body in black robes? But Yagami Ryosuke looked at Yuzuki Yin's signature long purple hair and thought of a certain white hair that had left Umbu. These two guys, does no one recognize them? After resting in place for 5 minutes, the two set off again. Soon, they arrived at the target location of this mission. A place called Baichuan Town is located in the south of the Fire Country. Baichuan Town is a small town with a small population, but business is very developed. Almost the entire town is engaged in business, and there are also some rich people who have made a fortune in business in the town, and the houses they live in are those kind of big yards. The target of Yagami Ryosuke this time is a businessman who appears to be engaged in ninja tool sales. This guy's name is Kyu Yunweno. His home is in Baichuan Town, and his shop is also opened here. But occasionally I will go to Konoha for delivery. It has a long-term cooperative relationship with Tian Ninja shop operated by Tian's family. Certainly, Tian's family did not sell the village. They just don't know that this guy is an enemy spy. What's more, Tian's family business is so big that it is one of the largest ninja dealers in the country of fire. There are not too many ninja dealers who cooperate with their family. It is impossible to know everything about them. Yagami Ryosuke also met Tian several times because of Naruto. The talent entry, Little Rich Woman, was transformed from Tian. He can provide him with 100,000 taels of money every day. Let Night God Ryosuke no longer be short of money. Kyun House. Yagami Ryosuke and Yuzuki Yugao lurk in the dark, watching the mansion. Your target is Kyun Ueno, but there are some guards higher by his house. Although they are not ninjas, they are ordinary people with a little force. Yuzuki Shien introduced the situation of Kyu Ueno. Your task is to assassinate Kyu Ueno and ensure that the information about the village in his hands will not be passed on. So you also need to confirm whether the people around him are also spies from the enemy country like him. Yagami Ryosuke nodded, already having an idea in mind. Captain, I'll go then. Yagami Ryosuke said. Yuzuki Shien nodded, and after admonishing, be careful, she watched Yagami Ryosuke disappear in place in an instant. Kyun House covers an area of 3,600 square meters. There are 7 servants, 11 nurses, plus Kyun Ueno, the master, and his wife. 20 people in total. Night God Ryosuke used his perception ability to find the specific location of these 20 people, and then started to act. His method is very simple. Since he is not sure whether there are spies among the people around Kyun Ueno, then they should just kill them all, as long as these people are dead. Even if there are spies mixed in, it won't help. Puff, puff. The 2 nurses who were chatting suddenly spurted a large amount of blood from their necks. The 2 samurai nurses stared wide-eyed and tried to cover the wound on their necks with both hands, but the wound was too big, and they couldn't block it at all. 2 plops. 2 twitching corpses fell to the ground. Behind, Night God Ryosuke appeared like a ghost. He flicked the blood beads on the ninja knife, and then disappeared in place again. The first time he killed someone, Night God Ryosuke didn't feel disgusted, but seeing the scene of blood gushing from his neck, he was not at peace either. Go on, always take the first step, Night God Ryosuke said to himself. Then he turned into a Shinigami, harvesting the lives of the people in Kyun House one by one. The 7 servants and 11 samurai guards were all dealt with by Night God Ryosuke. But the smell of blood also alarmed Kyun Ueno and his wife in the room. Is it leaked? Then don't hide it. Night God Ryosuke looked at the target rushing out of the room, and then appeared beside him in a flash. Brush. The knife flashed. Yagami Ryosuke looked at the woman who dodged his knife in surprise. Unexpectedly, she is also a ninja. Yagami Ryosuke was slightly surprised in his heart, but his movements did not stop. The second knife, the speed is faster if the angle is wider. The woman failed to dodge again and was stabbed in the chest by Night God Ryosuke. The sharp blade pierced the chest directly. Puff. Pulling out the ninja knife, blood gushes out immediately. The woman staggered and fell to the ground, dying. Kimiko. Kyuin Ueno rushed forward while secretly forming seals. Go to hell! Next second, lightning, style up pseudo-dark. A constricted thunderbolt turned into a thunder spear, stabbing fiercely at the night god Ryosuke in front of him. Uzuki Shien, who was hiding in the dark, also broke into a cold sweat for the night god Ryosuke. A mere firefly dared to compete with the bright moon? Yagami Ryosuke sneered disdainfully. In the next second, he actually grabbed the lightning spear directly with one hand. With a grasp of the palm, the thunder and lightning are instantly annihilated. Crackling arcs danced around night god Ryosuke's body, BBC. As for the night god Ryosuke, who was bathed in the thunder, besides feeling numb on his body, not too many other feelings. What? Whether it was Kyuin Ueno who released this lightning style, or Uzuki Shien who was hiding in the dark, they were all stunned by this scene. The flesh/body actually directly resists ninjutsu, or the lightning style known for its powerful damage. What kind of monster-like physique is this? Konoha Ryu instant kill. The light of the knife flashed as fast as lightning, slashing across Akigumo Ueno's body in an instant. Blood flashed, and Yagami Ryosuke raised the ninja knife in his hand and appeared 3 or 4 meters behind Akigumo Ueno. He slowly retracted the knife into its sheath. Then he turned around and looked at Kyuin Ueno, who was standing motionless. Puff! A piece of blood splashed out, followed by Kyuin Ueno's body, which was divided into 2 obliquely from the middle and fell to the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Brush! Uzuki Shien's figure appeared. She came over, first glanced at the target's body and the woman's body, then walked up to Night God Ryosuke, looking him up and down. Captain, is there something wrong with me? Night God Ryosuke asked. How did you manage to resist lightning style with your body? Uzuki Shien couldn't help asking. I'm physically strong, Yagami Ryosuke said with a smile. Uzuki Shien gave him a white look. Strong physique? If you really want to have a strong physique to be able to resist the B-level lightning style, then those physical skills Jinin will not need to avoid the enemy's attack in battle. Well, maybe it's some kind of blood succession limit. I feel that my physique is much stronger than other ninjas. Yagami Ryosuke smiled and barely gave a reasonable explanation. Blood succession boundary? That's how it is. Uzuki Shien nodded, feeling in her heart that this should be some kind of blood succession speed limit. It's just that no one in the Yagami family has awakened this kind of blood succession limit before, probably because the previous ninjas in the Yagami family all followed the ninjutsu route. It's nothing to Ryosuke, the night god, to expose his strong physical fitness. After all, his true strength is much, much stronger than what he has shown. Expose a little bit of real strength. For Ryosuke, the night god, there are only good things and no bad things. As for, will this kind of blood succession limit of physique be targeted by Danzo, the pot shadow? Haha, Night God Ryosuke is not the same as he was 2 years ago. Now, he was no longer afraid of any bullshit. What's more, Night God Ryosuke really wants to see if Danzo knows his special bloodline limit. Will he go to Sarutobi Hiruzen's important person? If he did go, he might have to quarrel with Sarutobi Hiruzen. At that time, maybe there will be a classic dialogue. Yagami Ryosuke also wanted to see this good show up close. As for afterward, will Danzo sneak up on Jin's ninja to catch him? Please. Night God Ryosuke can't wait for Danzo to do this. At that time, he could just copy some ninjutsu of Root Ninja's back. It can also help Danzo to streamline the number of team members. Look around. The information recorded by this guy should be hidden nearby. Uzuki Shien cut off Akigumo Ueno's head with a ninja knife and then sealed it in a sealed scroll, and then said to Ryosuke, the night god. Yagami Ryosuke nodded, then turned and went to the other side. Just now, my eyes seem to have a strong throbbing. Is it about to evolve? Night god Ryosuke thought to himself, then took out a mirror from the palm space and opened his Sharingan. In the mirror, it was supposed to be Sharingan in the state of 3-hooked jade. At this time, the 3 black-hooked jades have turned into the pattern of 5 small black sickles. Sure enough, Mangeki has opened. Night God Ryosuke secretly delighted. Unexpectedly, Manjiki Sharingan was activated after killing a few people. If the dead souls of Uchiha know about this, they will be angry and die again, right? When did Manjiki become so easy to open? In fact, Night God Ryosuke didn't just open this pair of Manjiki directly because he killed someone today and received some stimulation. Over the past 2 years or so, Night God Ryosuke also often stimulates his pair of Sharingan, trying to open his own Manjiki. And after more than 2 years of stimulation again and again, although each stimulation is not too strong. But after a long time, the pair of three-pointed jade of the Night God Ryosuke is only one step away from Manjiki. And today was the first time I saw blood. Just let his pair of Sharingan take that final step. This successfully opened the Manjiki. I don't know what the pupil technique of my Manjiki is. After turning on Manjiki, Night God Ryosuke felt that his pupil power had increased by about 20 times. No wonder. He obviously had 10 times the power of pupils before, but he couldn't open Susanoo in the state of 3-hook jade. To put it bluntly, the pupil power is still not enough. Manjiki's pupil power is 20 times stronger than that of Lord Goyu. And now, successfully opened Manjiki's Night God Ryosuke. His pupil power is 11 times that of Manjiki. I don't know how far away the pupil power of Eternal Manjiki is. Chapter 60. Sarutobi Hiruzen of Cheerful Sarutobi. Increase investment. Stay overnight at Uzuki Shiin's house. Seek the First Order. Is the pupil technique still in development? Looks like we'll have to wait a few days to find out. Night God Ryosuke sensed it and found that his 2 pupil techniques were still in the process of gestation, but it would take a few days at most before the gestation was completed. This made Night God Ryosuke look forward to it. I don't know what kind of pupil technique this so-called soul portraiting I can give me. It stands to reason that Night God Ryosuke should have a desire for power in his heart, so it is possible to obtain the one-eye technique of Amaterasu. Certainly, it is also possible that it is not Amaterasu, but other more lethal pupil techniques and alike. As for another pupil technique, Night God Ryosuke suddenly thought of something, and his face became a little weird. Shouldn't it be possible, he thought. I hope that this eye of spiritual reflection does not really conceive pupil art according to a person's inner portrayal. Otherwise, Night God Ryosuke is really worried that some weird pupil technique will be bred. After all, apart from his desire for power, he seems to be only interested in the beautiful girls in the Hokage world. You can't conceive a pupil technique like that, can you? If so, it would be too embarrassing. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Ryosuke. It's all right. The things have been poured. After a while, Uzuki Shiin found Yagami Ryosuke, shook a scroll in his hand and said, "Then we can go back to the village?" Night God Ryosuke asked. "Basically, unless you want to stay here a little longer." Uzuki Shiin said, "Forget it. Come again next time you have chance." Night God Ryosuke shook his head. His current thoughts are all on Manjiki's pupil technique, and he doesn't have the mind to go shopping at all. Then go back to the village. Uzuki Shiin nodded. She is not the kind of woman who likes to go shopping. Not to mention that she is still in the process of carrying out the task, and the information in her hand must be sent back to the village as soon as possible, so it is best not to overdo it. Hang out. On the way back to the village, both Yagami Ryosuke and Uzuki Yugao slowed down. It took almost 2 hours before we returned to the gate of the village. It was getting dark by this time. Uzuki Yugao handed over the customs clearance documents to Kokotetsu and Kamizuki Izumo at the door, and then brought Yagami Ryosuke to the Hokage building. Hokage office. Uzuki Shiin knocked on the door. Ahem. Come in. Sarutobi Hiruzen in the office didn't know what he was doing. He coughed twice before letting them in. Open the door and go into the office. As soon as Yagami Ryosuke came in, he smelled a strong smell of smoke. How much has this old man been smoking here? Yagami Ryosuke thought to himself. At this time, Uzuki Shiin also submitted the mission certificate. Oh, did you finish it so soon? Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Yagami Ryosuke with a smile. It seems that Ryosuke Your strength is even better than I imagined. Not bad. Very good. Night God Ryosuke was humbled. After that, Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at the mission report and suddenly opened his eyes wide in surprise to Night God Ryosuke. Physical blood inheritance limit. He looked at Night God Ryosuke in surprise and asked, Ryosuke, have you awakened a blood successor limit? Hearing this, Yishun Ryosuke also said, actually, I was not sure at the beginning. I just found that my physique grew a little faster when I was exercising, and then I found that my physical fitness was getting better and better as I practiced. Sarutobi Hiruzen, goddamn gets better and better with practice. Are you simply getting better and better? You can physically resist B-level lightning-style ninjutsu. This is no longer applauded, but should be called a monster. With such a physique, an ordinary attack might not even be able to hurt even a bit of Night God Ryosuke's fur, right? Unless they are facing ninjas above the level of Jinin. Otherwise, in the ordinary Genin, they are just a group of harmless scum in front of Ryosuke, the Night God. Unless it is a magic weapon in hand, such as Kusanagi sword and the like. Okay, Ryosuke, you are better than I imagined. Sarutobi Hiruzen was also secretly delighted at this time. If he hadn't deliberately recruited Night God Ryosuke, he wouldn't have discovered the blood successor limit on him. If no one finds out, I'm afraid Night God Ryosuke himself still doesn't know what it is. Thinking of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help feeling grateful for his wise decision. Look, that's what being a Hokage looks like. Unlike that guy Danzo, I heard that he seems to look down on ordinary geniuses like Night God Ryosuke. If Danzo knew about the blood succession limit on Ryosuke, the Night God, would he die with regret? Thinking of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen felt even more fortunate. Fortunately, Danzo didn't like Yagami Ryosuke. Otherwise, he asked himself to ask for someone at the beginning, Sarutobi Hiruzen, for the sake of old friendship. Coupled with the fact that Ryosuke, the Night God, is extremely talented and is an elite Jinin, there is a high probability that he will be handed over to Danzo. It's good now. The person is still with him. Even if Danzo finds out about the situation afterwards and comes to him to ask for someone again, it is also impossible for Sarutobi Hiruzen to hand over Night God Ryosuke. After all, there is no blood succession limit, and there is a blood succession limit. That is completely different. Ryosuke, the Night God who has no blood succession limit, will be elite Jinin in the future, and the probability is not high. It's just possible. But the Night God Ryosuke who awakened the blood succession limit, the future achievement is at least elite Jinin. The former is the highest achievement and can only reach elite Jinin. The latter is the lowest achievement, and the worst is also elite Jinin, and it is even very likely to reach Kage level strength. Such a genius, coupled with his background as a commoner. How can Sarutobi Hiruzen not like it? When Konohamaru takes the position of Hokage in the future, you can consider giving Night God Ryosuke a seat in the Elders. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought to himself. His previous arrangement for Night God Ryosuke was just to serve as a Hokage guard beside Konohamaru. But now, Sarutobi Hiruzen changed his mind. If Night God Ryosuke can really grow to Kage level strength in the future, it is not impossible to give him a seat in the Elders. In Sarutobi Hiruzen's view, this is already his great gift to the Night God Ryosuke. After all, a commoner ninja, unless the ancestral grave is smoking, how can he be qualified to enter Konoha's high-level circle? Now Night God Ryosuke has this opportunity. Isn't it a gift from him? Ryosuke, I now officially appoint you as a member of Umbu. Here is your letter of transfer. Sarutobi Hiruzen immediately announced the arrangement for Night God Ryosuke and solemnly handed over a transfer letter that he had prepared long ago. Ryosuke, from now on you will be a part of protecting the village, said Sarutobi Hiruzen. I will protect the village. Yagami Ryosuke received the transfer letter and said. Sarutobi Hiruzen also nodded in relief when he heard the words, and then began to feel entangled in his heart. Because he didn't know that Night God Ryosuke had awakened blood succession limit at first, so the gift he prepared for Night God Ryosuke was a B-rank ninjutsu scroll. Available now. Sarutobi Hiruzen felt that this gift was too light, not enough for Knight God Ryosuke to remember his favor. Anyway, he is also the right arm of the old man's grandson in the future. It seems that the old man can't be too stingy. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought to himself, and then said, Ryosuke, go back and have a good rest today, and come back at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. When the time comes, I will give you a gift, which is regarded as your congratulatory gift for joining Umbu. Okay, third generation day. Yagami Ryosuke nodded, not being polite to Sarutobi Hiruzen at all. But he was thinking in his heart, Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't give him the gift he had prepared in advance. Maybe because he knew the limit of his blood inheritance. So he felt that the gift he had prepared before was a little too much to take out. Have to say, Night God Ryosuke really guessed right. Well, you two go down first, Sarutobi Hiruzen said with a smile. It can be seen that he is in a really good mood. After leaving the Hokage building, Yagami Ryosuke thought about it and probably won't have anything to eat when he goes home. After all, he said before that he would not come back tonight, so his mother would definitely not prepare his dinner. Sister Shien, why don't I treat you to dinner? Yagami Ryosuke turned his head and said to Yuzuki Yugao beside him. Eat. Yuzuki Shien nodded after thinking about it. Okay, then what shall we eat? Go eat barbecue, just finish the task, eat something good. Yagami Ryosuke said. Yuzuki Shien also has no objection. The mission this time, though, is Sarutobi Hiruzen's test for Night God Ryosuke. But it is also a B-level task itself, and there's a task fee to get it. Asking for flowers. The remuneration for B-level missions is generally between 80,000 and 200,000. And this time the task reward is 150,000 taels. After deducting the 20% that the village took, that is 30,000 taels, there are 120,000 taels left. At the beginning, Yuzuki Shien planned to give the 120,000 taels of remuneration to Yagami Ryosuke. After all, the whole task was done by Yagami Ryosuke himself. She is just in charge of supervision. But Night God Ryosuke insisted on 5 points. Maiwe Shien couldn't resist him, so he could only accept 60,000 taels of it. In fact, Yagami Ryosuke is not short of money at all. Little rich woman, this talent entry can give him 100,000 taels of income every day. And this entry was obtained by Night God Ryosuke more than 2 years ago. In the middle, although he often went to the barbecue shop, he also bought some ninja tools and the like. But the sum of the money spent did not exceed 1 million taels. Therefore, right now Ryosuke still has more than 70 million taels of deposits in his hands. So he doesn't even look down on this mere 120,000 taels of mission reward. But Yuzuki Shien is different. Although ninjas make a lot of money, ninjas also cost a lot. It has been 10 years since Yuzuki Yugao graduated from the ninja school. But the money saved was only more than 1 million taels in total, and the rest was basically used up. In contrast, Yagami Ryosuke is the real rich man. If it weren't for knowing that Yuzuki Shien would not agree, Yagami Ryosuke would not have even planned to ask for the 60,000 taels. After eating the barbecue, it was already past 8 o'clock in the evening. Coming out of the barbecue shop, Yagami Ryosuke patted his slightly bulging stomach, feeling very satisfied. In this world, beautiful people and delicious food cannot be let down. He sighed in his heart. Then he turned his head and said to Maiwe Shien, who was beside him, Sister Shien, I have no place to stay tonight. Otherwise, you can take me in. Shall I have one night? Aren't you going home? Yuzuki Shien asked. I said before that I won't go back tonight. So, Sister Shien, do you want to take me in? Yagami Ryosuke looked at Yuzuki Yuyin with a pitiful expression. Yuzuki Shien couldn't help laughing either. Okay, then you can sleep at my house tonight, she said. I knew that, Sister Shien. You have the kindest heart. Yagami Ryosuke hugged Yuzuki Yuyin with a smile, just like when he was a child. I've grown up. How about hugging my sister? Don't be ashamed. Yuzuki Shien smiled and lightly tapped his finger on his forehead, not resisting Night God Ryosuke's embrace. Probably got used to it. After all, Ryosuke, the former Night God, often hugged her. Once you get used to it, you don't feel that there is anything wrong with it. But the 12-year-old Yagami Ryosuke, due to long-term exercise, has a height of about 170. Standing beside Yuzuki Shien, she looked as tall as her. From a distance, passers-by who didn't see Yagami Ryosuke's immature face clearly thought they were two young couples out shopping. After all, it looked so intimate. No wonder they get it wrong. And the same misunderstanding was not only these passers-by, but also a few ninjas who just came out of an izakaya not far away. Isn't that person over there Yuzuki Shien? Someone recognized Yuzuki Shien. After all, her long purple hair was so rare in the village. It's hard not to recognize it. Moonlight Gale, who had just had a drink at the side, heard Yuzuki Shien's name and immediately became half sober from the wine. He looked over there, and the pupils in his eyes shrank instantly. Moonlight Gale was shocked and speechless. A few friends next to him looked at him, then at the two people embracing each other, and looked at Moonlight Gale with sympathy for a while. Who among them doesn't know that Yueguang Haifeng has always liked Yuzuki Shien, and there are even rumors that the two are already together. But as friends of Moonlight Gale, they still know some inside information. In fact, the two of them had a slight crush on each other at most. Yueguang Gaifeng really likes Yuzuki Shien very much, but it's hard to say what Yuzuki Shien thinks. But seeing this scene now, they became more and more certain in their hearts that Moonlight Gale was just unrequited love. Chapter 61, Moonlight Gale. Big misunderstanding. Take a bath at Yuzuki Shien's house. Seek the first order. Hate. Want to open up? There's no grass in the end of the world. How about introducing some beautiful female ninjas to you next time? A friend of Moonlight Galewind patted him on the shoulder, comforting him. Cough, cough, cough. Moonlight Gale suddenly coughed violently. His friends all knew that Yueguang Gaifeng was in poor health and had a serious lung disease, which had not been cured. Hey, are you all right? Yeah. Why don't we get out of here first? As the saying goes, out of sight, out of mind. They are really afraid that Moonlight Gale will cough up their lungs if they continue watching here. I'm fine. Moonlight Gale shook his head and then looked angrily at the two people who had gradually gone away, clenched fists with both hands. Tolerate? Can't bear it. The more he thought about it, the more angry Moonlight Gale simply rushed up. Several of his friends wanted to hold him back, but they were slow to react and didn't hold him back. Hey, Haifeng, why are you so stubborn? A few friends looked at the moonlight blast rushing up and shook their heads. They could only follow from a distance, but they didn't dare to go up to participate in the affairs between the three of them. The other side, after Yagami Ryosuke let Yuzuki Yuyin go, the two left talking and laughing. In the end, within 2 steps, a figure rushed up from behind and stopped in front of them. Blast! Yuzuki Shien looked in surprise at Moonlight Gale, whose eyes were bloodshot and had a ferocious expression. She had never seen Moonlight Gale like this. What's wrong with you? Yuzuki Shien asked. What's wrong with me? 453. Yueguang Jifeng's chest continued to rise and fall, and he couldn't help coughing again. Ahem. You still have the face to ask me what's wrong? Who is he? He pointed at Ryosuke, the night god, and questioned Yuzuki Yuyin. Probably because of the rush, Hate Moon didn't see Ryosuke's face clearly at all, or his attention was always on Shien Yuzuki from the beginning to the end. Yuzuki Shien also frowned upon hearing Yueguang Gale's question. Originally, she looked at Yueguang Haifeng like this, seeing that everyone was a friend, and wanted to ask him if he wanted to go to the hospital. But when Yueguang Haifeng opened his mouth, he had a questioning tone, and the attitude was the worst she had ever seen. Sister Shien, is this your friend? Night God Ryosuke asked. Yuzuki Shien nodded and said, Moonlight Gale, what do you mean? What do I mean? Yu Guangji coughed angrily. I'm asking you who he is now? No wonder you keep hanging on to me on purpose. So you have other men outside. Yuzuki Shien, is this how you treat me? When Yuzuki Shien heard this, she also looked at Moonlight Gale with disbelief. The soft-spoken and gentle Moonlight Gale on weekdays, and the hideous and ugly man in front of her, she really couldn't connect the two together. I hang you? What the hell are you talking about? What did I hang you? Yuzuki Shien was also angry and said with a hint of anger in her tone, Isn't it? The two of us grew up together, and I treat you so well. Don't you know my feelings for you? Moonlight Gale asked. Yuzuki Shiyin smiled angrily. Moonlight Gale, are you still unreasonable? Did I tell you clearly that there is no relationship between me and you like a man and a woman? Did I tell you that I have no way to have a boyfriend for the time being? You tell me now that I'm hanging you on purpose? You're out of your mind. Yuzuki Shiyin was really angry. Otherwise, with her character, she wouldn't have said such a thing. However, at this moment, Moonlight Gale was already dazzled by anger, and he was not sober in the first place after drinking some wine. You don't want a boyfriend? Who is he then? You don't like me. So how is he better than me? Moonlight Hate pointed to Ryosuke, the night god beside him. Night god Ryosuke felt like he was really lying on the ground. But what happened to the Moonlight Blast? It sounds like Yuzuki Shiyin has already clearly rejected him. It is obvious that she is stalking and unwilling to give up. In the end, it seems that Yuzuki Shiyin is hanging him on purpose. Not to mention that the relationship between Yagami Ryosuke and Yuzuki Shiyin is not that kind at all. What if the two of them are really boyfriend and girlfriend? What does it have to do with him? Hearing that Moonlight Hate brought the topic to Night God Ryosuke again, Yuzuki Shiyin didn't bother to talk nonsense to him anymore. Ryosuke is my teammate, and you see, he's a kid. Yuzuki Shiyin shook her head and didn't want to talk anymore. She directly pulled up the Night God Ryosuke and was about to go around the Moonlight Blast. Stop! Don't leave until you speak clearly. Moonlight Gale reached out to stop the two of them. However, what greeted him was a flash of a knife, leaving a shallow wound on the back of his hand in an instant. Stop getting drunk and crazy. Wait until you sober up. After Yuzuki Shiyin finished speaking coldly, she took Yagami Ryosuke and left here, leaving Moonlight Gale standing in place, looking down at the wound on the back of his hand, fresh and dripping on the ground along his fingers. Hey, are you all right? At this time, several friends of Moonlight Gale also gathered around. Your hand is injured. I'll treat it for you. Go away. Moonlight Gale pushed them away. Leave me alone. He staggered forward. His shaky figure gradually disappeared on the other side of the street. What should we do now? Leave him alone. Forget it. Haifeng doesn't make sense about this matter at all, and I don't blame Maoyong Shiyin. Actually, I want to say that I just saw the person standing next to Yuzuki Shiyin. He looks a little too young, like a child. No, it's been a long time. Is this still a misunderstanding? Several people looked at the direction where Moonlight Gale left, dumbfounded. I didn't know what to say for a while. Sister Shiyin, are you all right? On the way, Yagami Ryosuke looked at Yuzuki Shiyin, who was walking ahead without saying a word, and asked worriedly. I'm fine. I just feel a little ridiculous. Yuzuki Shiyin shook his head and said, Ryosuke, do you know that I grew up with Moonlight Hate? We knew each other when we were very young, and we were classmates in the same class when we were in ninja school, so the relationship has always been very good. After we graduated and became ninjas, Moonlight Hate and I were assigned to the same Genin team, and I have always regarded him as my best friend. I know he likes me, but I really just treat him as a friend. I told him that I don't want this matter to affect our friendship. But Moonlight Gale is too stubborn. I thought that as long as I explicitly rejected him and explained it to him, he would give up. But I didn't expect him to never give up. Yuzuki Shiyin talked about some things in her past, and Yagami Ryosuke followed silently, acting as a listener. Actually, since I joined Umbu, I have been avoiding him on purpose. I don't want him to get stuck like that again. I even asked Anko to help him introduce a girlfriend. There is such a thing. However, Miss Shiyin, you asked Miss Anko for help. Is it probably unreliable? Yagami Ryosuke thought to himself. Forget it. In fact, this is also good. At least this time he should completely give up. Yuzuki Shiyin sighed suddenly and said, It's a pity. After this time, Yuegwang Gaifeng and I should have no way to continue to be friends anymore. Just now, Yuzuki Shiyin was really angry. There is even an urge to chop off the nonsense Moonlight Gale. But after calming down now, recalling the past friendship between the two, Yuzuki Shiyin suddenly became less angry. Just a little sorry. We were still good friends. Now, it is completely becoming a stranger. Ryosuke, if you meet a girl you like in the future, Remember not to stalk you. If you stalk a girl after rejecting you repeatedly, it will only be annoying. Yuzuki Yugao suddenly said to Yagami Ryosuke, "No, Sister Shien, do you think I look like that kind of person?" Night God Ryosuke couldn't tell whether to laugh or cry. Yuzuki Shien looked him up and down and said with a smile after a while, "It's really not like that. Based on Ryosuke's conditions, it should be girls who take the initiative to pursue you. But you're still young, and you're still valued by Lord Hokage, so you should put more experience into improving your strength. Emotional matters. Let's wait a few years to talk about it." Yuzuki Shien obviously didn't know that Yagami Ryosuke already had 2 little girlfriends. If she had known, she would certainly not have said that. After a while, Yuzuki Shien's house has also arrived. There is an apartment building in front of me, and Yuzuki Shien lives in a room on the 3rd floor of this apartment building. She bought the house with her own money. The house she lived in when she was a child was in a more remote location in the village. After she graduated and became a ninja and made money, she sold her previous small house and moved here. Don't think it's just an apartment building, but its location is close to the center of Konoha. Therefore, the price is also high. Yuzuki Shien spent a lot of money to buy this house. "Come in. I'll get you a pair of slippers." Yuzuki Yugao walked into the house with Yagami Ryosuke. The decoration of the house is quite simple, but also very warm. Some small decorations can be seen everywhere, and it can be seen that the owner of the house is a person with his own ideas. Yagami Ryosuke changed into the indoor slippers, followed by a brief tour of Yuzuki Yuyen's house. "It's not a big place. You can sit down by yourself. I'll get you a glass of water," Yuzuki Shien said, turned and went to the kitchen. After a while, 2 glasses of water came out. "You sleep in the guest room tonight, but you have to wait a while. My guest room has never been used. I have to clean it," Yuzuki Shien said. "Let me help together." Yagami Ryosuke put down the water glass and stood up. "No need, just sit and rest," Yuzuki Shien said. "It's okay, Sister Shien. Don't always take care of me like a child. I'm already 12 years old, and I've grown up," Yagami Ryosuke said. Hearing this, Yuzuki Shien looked at him with a smile. "If you really grow up, then you won't be able to hug this sister and that sister like a child in the future," Yuzuki Shien said with a smile. "You can hug when you grow up," Ishan Ryosuke also smiled and said, "Also, Miss Shien, you forgot that you promised me before that you would marry me as your wife when you grow up." Yuzuki Shien, "Isn't that a joke for children? You little BD is serious." Yuzuki Shien punched him angrily. "You little devil. It seems that what Anko said before is right. You are a little pervert." Night God Ryosuke looked innocent. He is obviously an innocent and good boy. Why is he such a pervert? 4. 5. Some people believe the words of that lunatic Anko. In the end, Yagami Ryosuke and Yuzuki Shien cleaned the guest room together. By the time they got it done, it was almost 10 o'clock in the evening. "You're tired all day today. Take a bath first, and then go to bed early." Yuzuki Shien yawned. She was also a little tired. "Sister Shien, what about you?" Night God Ryosuke asked treacherously. "I'll wait until you're done washing," she said. "I thought Sister Shien would help me rub my back." Night God Ryosuke's tone was full of disappointment. "Think beautifully. When you have a girlfriend in the future, let your girlfriend rub your back for you." Mao Yushien gave him an angry look and then threw him a new coin. "Go. Hurry up. I'm a little sleepy too." Yagami Ryosuke nodded with a smile, took the towel, and went to the bathroom. People in the Hokage world have a soft spot for bathing. Therefore, unless the conditions are really difficult, otherwise there must be a bathroom with a lot of space at home. Yuzuki Shien's bathroom is quite big. A large bath pool next to the rain shower. Yagami Ryosuke first put hot water into the bathing pool, then went under the rain to rinse his body, and waited until the hot water was almost filled before lying down. So comfortable. Yagami Ryosuke closed his eyes, put his hands on the edge of the bathing pool, and put the towel on his face. The whole person lay lazily. Chapter 62. Insomnia Yuzuki Shien. The gift is a sealed book? Seek the first order. Think back to today's experience in your mind. I have to say that a lot of things really happened today. First, he graduated and was assigned to a class, and then went out of the village to perform an assassination mission. And when he came back, he encountered the farce of Moonlight Gale. But Sister Shien never agreed to be with Moonlight Gale? Is it because of some influence caused by me? Knight God Ryosuke suspects that this may be the butterfly effect caused by himself, including Sister Hong and that Asuma too. In the past 2 years, Asuma has often come to Yuehong to show her hospitality. Pity, every time I touch the ashes on the nose and go back. But this guy really has perseverance. It's been more than 2 years, and I don't know how many times I've been rejected, but still didn't give up. Even the knight, God Ryosuke, admired him a little bit. If this perseverance is put on cultivation, it won't be lost by the undead duo in the future. So, strength is the foundation of everything. If there is no strength in a chaotic world like Hokage, maybe I will meet some lunatics at some point and kill you. After taking a bath, Yagami Ryosuke, who was comfortable all over, also came out of the bathroom wearing a bath towel. Sister Shien, I finished washing. Yagami Ryosuke yelled. Well, you should rest early. Yuzuki Shien came from the living room and saw Yagami Ryosuke in a bath towel and couldn't help but stare at his well-defined 8-pack abs. Sister Shien, is it pretty? Knight God Ryosuke asked suddenly. Yuzuki Shien was awakened and hurriedly blushed to drive away Yagami Ryosuke, telling him to go back to the room to sleep. Sister Shien, good night, boom. After closing the door heavily, Yuzuki Shien let out a long sigh of relief. This kid is a really good figure. Ba ba ba. Yuzuki Shi 31 yen. Ryosuke is still a child. What are you thinking? Maue Shien scolded herself secretly and then walked slowly towards the bathroom. This night, Yagami Ryosuke slept very comfortably. He doesn't have the habit of acknowledging the bed. I can fall asleep quickly anywhere. But Yuzuki Shien is different because she has insomnia. As soon as she closes her eyes, the figure of Knight God Ryosuke can't help appearing in her mind. It made her a little nervous. Morning, Sister Shien. Yagami Ryosuke came out of the bathroom and greeted Yuzuki Yugao, who was coming towards him. Oh, you're up. Yuzuki Shien was still a little dazed, went to the bathroom to wash her face, and stimulated her brain with cold water. Only then did I feel much more comfortable, and my whole person became slightly more awake. Fortunately, today is her day off. If there is a task for this, it will be troublesome. Sister Shien, did you not sleep well last night? Yagami Ryosuke saw her bleary-eyed look and knew that she must not have slept much last night. Yeah, a little insomnia. Yuzuki Shien yawned and then said, Ryosuke, you can go to the Hokage building by yourself later. I won't accompany you there. It's okay, Sister Shien. Go catch up on your sleep, or else you'll have no energy at work tomorrow. Yagami Ryosuke said. Hearing this, Yuzuki Shien also nodded. She also felt that she should go to catch up on sleep. Originally, she wanted to have breakfast with Knight God Ryosuke and then go to the Hokage building together. But now, it's still important to catch up on sleep. Coming out of Yuzuki Shien's house, Yagami Ryosuke went home first and told his mother Yagami Mizuki that she was safe, and then used her perception ability to find the location of Hinata and Ino at this time. It turns out that Hinata has gone out now, while Ino is still at home. Squad 8 is going on a mission so early? Yagami Ryosuke thought to himself. It's only about 7:30 in the morning. How could Jinin go out on a mission so early? It's not a very urgent task. It's just some D-level tasks like weeding. Knight God Ryosuke even doubted that at this point in time, have the clients who issued the task already woke up? After a while, Yagami Ryosuke finds Hinata on a busy street. Ryosuke, you're back. When Hinata saw Knight God Ryosuke, he ran over with a look of surprise. Well, I'm back. The mission went smoothly, and I didn't encounter any danger. Yagami Ryosuke said with a smile. Are you having breakfast? He asked. Hearing this, Hinata also blushed and nodded. Well, not full. 17, she says. That piece I haven't eaten yet. Yagami Ryosuke said. I guess Ino is still sleeping right now, so I can have breakfast with Hinata first. As for Hinata's lack of food at home, this is not the first time. Yagami Ryosuke used to bring Hinata with him for extra meals. As for Hinata's appetite, he is crystal clear. The well-deserved Konoha, big stomach king. Konoha's breakfast is nothing to rave about. It's nothing more than some noodles, meatballs, etc. Yagami Ryosuke doesn't like to eat sweets early in the morning, so he finished a breakfast after eating 3 bowls of noodles. And Hinata eats more. I ate 7 bowls of noodles and various other snacks. After she finished eating, Yagami Ryosuke asked her if she was full. Ate full. I have to go to perform tasks with Teacher Hong and the others later, so I can't eat too much. Hinata said happily, when you are full, you will naturally feel better. When will your 8th class assemble? Night God Ryosuke asked. It's 8:30. Hinata said. Then it's already 8:20. Will you be late? Yagami Ryosuke looked at the time and said, it's so late. Hinata was taken aback, and after talking to Night God Ryosuke, he hurriedly ran to the meeting place. Yagami Ryosuke also smiled knowingly when he saw her in a hurry, and followed her to Ino's house. Hey, Ryosuke, why are you at my house? Ino came down from the stairs while still in a daze of sleep, only to see his mother sitting and chatting with Yagami Ryosuke in the living room downstairs, and his eyes widened in disbelief. I'm back from my mission, and I'm here to see you. Yagami Ryosuke went over with a smile. It was the first time he saw Ino in pajamas. This lazy look, if Ino's mother was not still watching. And there was a murderous stare in the restaurant next door staring at this side. He really wanted to pinch its wild little face. Did the mission go well? Are you uninjured? Ino asked, concerned. Yagami Ryosuke shook his head. No, the task went smoothly, and it was done easily. So Ryosuke, you are now a member of Umbu? Ino asked. Yes. I will report to Lord 3rd Generation later. Yagami Ryosuke checked the time. It was almost 9 o'clock. Okay, go and wash up. I'm leaving. Is it time to leave? Ino took the initiative to hold the Night God Ryosuke's hand with a bit of reluctance. Yagami Ryosuke rubbed her hair with a smile. The hair, that was a bit messy when she woke up from a high sleep, became more messy. I'll report to Lord 3rd Generation later. If there's nothing else, I'll see you when the time comes. He said. Well, it's time to pull Ryosuke and you to help. Ino said with a giggle. After chatting for a few more words, Yagami Ryosuke said goodbye and left Ino's house. After he left, Ino's father, Yamanaka, withdrew his murderous gaze, and Yamanaka, who was on the side, couldn't help covering his mouth and sniggering a few times. Why? Are you reluctant to part with your daughter? She said with a smile. Ino is still so young, and I can see that this Yagami is not a law-abiding person. Yamanaka said angrily. That's his sweet little padded jacket. Didn't expect it to start leaking so quickly. The child has grown up and has his own ideas. Don't make a fuss all the time. And I think Ryosuke is a pretty good kid. Now he's joined Umbu. He is no more promising than those kids in the family. Yamanaka Reno has a good sense of Night God Ryosuke. Otherwise, he would not have dragged him a chat in the living room before. Oomph. Just look at this kid. At first glance, he will be the kind of man who messes around everywhere in the future. Yamanaka snorted angrily and said, Heard. Yamanaka Reno couldn't help but think of a young lady of the Hyuga family who was with Yagami Ryosuke before. Duh. It seems that my husband is right. However, it is normal for a good man to have more women around him, right? Yamanaka Reno didn't pay much attention to this matter. However, if Yamanaka Hai knows about this, I am afraid that he will hate the Night God Ryosuke even more. So after thinking about it, Yamanaka decided not to tell her husband about this matter, lest he get angry and ruin his body. Hokage office. Yagami Ryosuke came here at exactly 9 o'clock. Knocked on the door. After a response came from inside, Night God Ryosuke opened the door and came in. Master 3rd Generation. Night God Ryosuke looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen in front of him. The office is full of smoke early in the morning. I don't know how long it has been smoking. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Yagami Ryosuke, who walked through the door with a smile, and was quite satisfied with his child. Pity. Couldn't have spotted his talent sooner. Otherwise, if you start cultivating a few years in advance, You may have already given up on yourself by now, right? Sarutobi Hiruzen is still very confident in his way of fooling people. Ryosuke is here. Did you rest well last night? Yagami Ryosuke nodded. Then he looked at the huge scroll that was placed on the desk. Is that the sealed book? A look of surprise flashed in Ryosuke's eyes. Could it be that the gift Sarutobi Hiruzen mentioned yesterday was the sealed book? This old guy, he's lost all his money. This is it. This is the treatment that Naruto, the prince, only has, and what Naruto gets is just a multiple shadow clone technique. Sarutobi Hiruzen shouldn't let himself just learn the forbidden technique in the Book of Seals, right? It should be impossible. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who noticed Ryosuke's eyes, smiled and said, Ryosuke 410, do you know what this is? Night God Ryosuke shook his head. Of course he knew that this was the sealed book, which recorded a large number of forbidden techniques. But he is not stupid. He will definitely not admit it. This is the seal of the village, the Book of Seals, and the seals on it are all the amazingly powerful forbidden techniques handed down by the Hokages of the past generations, and they are also the greatest treasures of the village. Sarutobi Hiruzen introduced the situation of the sealed book and then said, Ryosuke, your talent is very good, but you can't slack off in the future. You must know that talent is talent and strength is strength. You can't rely on your talent to stop practicing hard in the future. Yagami Ryosuke nodded, showing an open-minded manner. I think you can't wait, King Yu. Sarutobi Hiruzen laughed and said, Here, take it and have a look. Choose one you like. It will be considered a gift from this old man. The huge scroll was thrown over, and Night God Ryosuke stretched out his hand to catch it. Is this what I'm looking at? Yagami Ryosuke glanced at Sarutobi Hiruzen, followed by opening the sealed book and looked at the contents inside. Sure enough, there is a seal. Night God Ryosuke found that he could only see the names of these forbidden techniques in the Book of Seals, as well as a brief introduction. As for the specific training content, there was no word at all, and he also didn't see forbidden technique like impure world reincarnation on it. Obviously, it was completely sealed by Sarutobi Hiruzen, not even letting him see the name. Probably because I was afraid that Ryosuke, the night god, would have chosen these forbidden techniques by chance. There are at least dozens of forbidden techniques in the Book of Seals. However, most of them are listed as forbidden techniques simply because they cause too much damage to the caster, but not many are listed as forbidden techniques because the power of the technique itself is too strong. After Ryosuke read it once, he thought about it again and chose one of the ninjutsu. Master 3rd Generation, I have chosen. Yagami Ryosuke raised his head and said, Oh, which ninjutsu did you choose? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked with a smile. Flying Thunder God Technique. Night God Ryosuke revealed the ninjutsu he chose. Although there are many ninjutsu in the Book of Seals, to be honest, most of the Night God Ryosuke doesn't like it. But Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't let him choose the one that caught his eye. So, in the end, Night God Ryosuke chose this space-time ninjutsu. If he can learn it, it can be regarded as making up for one of his shortcomings. After all, Night God Ryosuke does not know this type of ninjutsu. Chapter 63, Flying Thunder God Technique. Class 7 of Umbu. Codename Yeue. 7th More. Flying Thunder God Technique. Sarutobi Hiruzen took a puff of a cigarette and seemed to see the sunny figure with a bright smile behind Yagami Ryosuke in a trance. Minato. When people get old, they just like to recall the past. Sarutobi Hiruzen recalls now that Namake's Minato was also so talented back then and was also born as a commoner. Even both choose the same ninjutsu. Pity, Minato's attitude towards ninja makes Sarutobi Hiruzen very disappointed. Especially being too close to the Uchiha clan made Sarutobi Hiruzen even a little scared. Fear that your power will be taken away. This also made Sarutobi Hiruzen feel dissatisfied with Namake's Minato, the 4th Hokage he cultivated by himself. But the dead are gone, and now only occasionally will I recall the young man with a bright smile back then. Really, strength or something is only secondary. Long life is the last word. Sarutobi Hiruzen felt emotional for a while. Then he said with a smile, Flying Thunder God Technique, Ryosuke. Are you sure? Space-time ninjutsu is not so easy to learn. If you can't learn it, you will waste this opportunity. I'm sure, and I think I can learn. Yagami Ryosuke nodded and said, not planning to change. After all, he doesn't need those other ninjutsu at all, and it has no effect on his strength improvement. Although he can't say whether he can learn the Flying Thunder God technique. But you'll have to try it to know. Not to mention, who said he can only choose Flying Thunder God as a ninjutsu? Night God Ryosuke looked at the sealed book in his hand, with a faint light in his eyes. There's still a lot of good things on it. It's a pity that Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't let him choose, but it's okay. If not today, then wait a few more months. The Chunin exam in a few months is his chance. When Orochimaru starts the Konoha collapse plan, the whole Konoha will fall into chaos. Night God Ryosuke can fish in troubled waters, so take this seal for use. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't know these outrageous thoughts in Ryosuke's heart. He looked at Ryosuke with a laugh and said, aspirational and other compliments. Then take back the seal book from Night God Ryosuke. Unlock the seal on Flying Thunder God technique and rub the content onto another blank ninjutsu scroll. Here, let's go. Sarutobi Hiruzen handed this ninjutsu scroll to Night God Ryosuke and said, remember, only you can learn this ninjutsu. Don't let others see it. After you remember it, destroy the scroll to avoid ninjutsu. Give way. Understand, Days of Heaven. Night God Ryosuke nodded, reaching out to take the scroll of Flying Thunder God technique. Come out. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke to the surrounding air. The next second, an umbu wearing a mask appeared in the office. Master Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen said to this umbu, Black Fong, you take Night God Ryosuke to umbu to report, and he will be a member of your 7th class from now on. Konoha umbu has a total of 4 teams, each with 4 classes, a total of 16 classes. The Night God Ryosuke was assigned to the 7th class of the 2nd team. Speak up. Before Kakashi left umbu, he was the captain of the 2nd team. Moreover, Uzuki Shien is also in the 2nd team, and happens to be in the 7th class, and is the acting team leader of the 7th class. The reason why she is an agent is because Uzuki Shien is not strong enough to become an official team leader. But the squad leader of the 7th class died just before, and no new squad leader has been appointed yet. So Uzuki Shien is temporarily made the acting squad leader of the 7th class, temporarily responsible for leading umbu's 7th squad to perform tasks. Umbu, codenamed Black Fong, glanced at Night God Ryosuke, then nodded and accepted the task. Follow me, Dashta, he said lightly to the Night God Ryosuke, followed the flash and disappeared into the office. Master 3rd generation, I'm leaving first. After Yishan Ryosuke and Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke, they also performed body flicker technique and followed, seeing the 2 people leaving one after the other. Sarutobi Hiruzen also smoked a cigarette with a smile, thinking about his arrangement for his grandson Konohamaru. Now, just waiting for Konohamaru to grow up. Konoha umbu. Night God Ryosuke always thought that umbu would be like Jinbu, who would build a base or something underground in the village. But it wasn't until he actually came to umbu's headquarters that he realized that he was thinking too much. The headquarters of Konoha umbu is not in the underground of the village, but in the depths of the number 1 training ground, a restricted area that ordinary ninjas cannot enter. There are many beehive-like buildings built here, densely packed. Just looking at it makes one's scalp tingle. Night God Ryosuke followed the umbu ninja named Black Fong all the way, and soon came to the place where umbu registered. A newcomer is here. Register for him. Hey Fong knocked on the table and said to the umbu ninja in front of him, code name. The umbu ninja glanced at Yagami Ryosuke and was a little surprised at the immaturity of the other party, but he didn't ask too much and asked Yagami Ryosuke's codename directly. Choose a random codename yourself. From now on, this codename will be your name in umbu. We won't call each other by their real names here. Black Fong explained. Yagami Ryosuke nodded. He had already thought of his code name when he was on the road. Yeah. The Umbu ninja, who was in charge of the registration, nodded, and then wrote the word Yua on the roster, and then recorded the date later. Here are your clothes and masks. Just go over there and choose one. Umbu, who was in charge of registration, took out a set of black Umbu uniforms and put them on the table, then pointed to the mask on the wall behind him and said, Night God Ryosuke glanced over, then chose a white mask with only a three-pointed jade pattern on the forehead and took it off. That's it, Yagami Ryosuke said. Umbu, who was in charge of registration, glanced at the mask he had chosen, then nodded. Put on your clothes and mask and follow me. Black Fong on the side said. Yagami Ryosuke nodded, went to the small cubicle beside him, and changed into Umbu's uniform, black liner and trousers, plus a white sleeveless vest, put on the mask he chose, and then went out from the cubicle, came out of the room. Ryosuke, who is 1.7 meters tall, can be seen as a child without a mask, but when he wears a mask, it hides his immature face. It looks like an adult, no different. Black Fong glanced at Night God Ryosuke, who had changed into Umbu's uniform, and led him away from the registration office. This is the place where our 7th class usually trains. If there is no task, you can also train here. Black Fong brought Night God Ryosuke to an open training ground. Here are two Umbus practicing against each other. Yishan Ryosuke took a look and found that the strength of these two people was stronger than that of the ordinary Chunin, and their attack methods were mainly physical skills and shuriken. Ninjutsu words are not commonly used. After all, Chunin's chakra is limited, so use sparingly. At this time, Hei Fong clapped his hands and called the two people over there. Tengu, Shadow, let me introduce you. This is the newcomer in our 7th class, and his code name is Yer. Hei Fong introduced the newest member, Night God Ryosuke, to the two of them. Yo, our 7th class finally has a newcomer. Since the captain was promoted, our 7th class has always been short of one member. The Umbu ninja named Tengu seemed very active. He looked at Ryosuke with a smile, and he was very welcome to Ryosuke, a newcomer, with his performance inside and outside the words. The other person, codenamed Shadow, didn't talk so much, he just nodded his head, and it was regarded as a greeting. Each class in our Umbu consists of 4 members and a captain. After you join, you'll be the 4th member of our 7th class. Black Fong said, this mode is similar to the Genin team, except that there is one more number. Yeah, do you want to fight? By the way, let everyone see your strength. At this time, Tengu suddenly said with a smile, fight. Night God Ryosuke quickly understood that this was to test his strength. If he doesn't perform well, he might not have much say in this team in the future. Although Night God Ryosuke doesn't care about these, but he doesn't like to lose. Can. Yagami Ryosuke nodded. Immediately, Black Fong and Shadow retreated to the side, handing over the venue to them. What is the background of this newcomer? After retreating to the sidelines, the Shadow, who had been silent just now, suddenly asked Hei Fong beside him. Master Hokage recommended it. I can't say the specifics. Black Fong said. Hearing this, Shadow also nodded, without further questioning. Who do you think will win, the rookie or the Tengu? Black Fong suddenly asked the Shadow beside him. Tengu, his strength has already surpassed mine, and in our 7th class, his strength is second only to the captain. Shadow thought for a while and said, this guy Tengu has surpassed me in silence. Black Fong looked at the Shadow in surprise. Shadow nodded and said in a flat tone, although this guy's talent is not good, but he has worked hard enough, and his future achievements will still be higher than you and me. Hearing this, Hei Fong also looked at the Tengu in surprise. This kid really made a big deal out of silence. Then it looks like the rookie is doomed. Black Fong said. The Shadow on the side also nodded in agreement. The strength of Tengu has not lost to some special Genin, and what he is best at is illusion. If this newcomer has no good way to deal with it, winning or losing is actually just an instant thing. Yue, do you learn swordsmanship? Tengu looked at the ninja sword on Ryosuke's waist and asked. I have learned, but the learning is average. Night God Ryosuke little by little. He has indeed learned swordsmanship. But to be honest, his attainments in swordsmanship are really mediocre compared to other aspects. That's just right. I have also learned swordsmanship for a while. How about we compare swordsmanship first? Tengu didn't intend to decide a match with the rookie as soon as he came up. That would be boring. He wanted to see the rookie's all-round strength. After all, they would all be teammates of the same team in the future. If you don't know much about each other's strength, how can you cooperate in future missions? As Yagami Ryosuke said. He drew out the ninja sword from his waist. The cold light of the blade seems to be able to sting the skin of a Tengu more than 10 meters away. Hiss. Your knife is fine. Tengu looked down at his ninja sword and suddenly felt like shopping around and wanting to throw it away. Or should I change it? Night God Ryosuke also doesn't want to take advantage of this weapon. After all, it's not a fight to the death. It's just a competition. No, actually my ninja sword is not bad, Tengu said stiffly. The truth is, he feels that his strength must surpass Zhao Zhao, this rookie's, and just now Yishin Ryosuke said that his swordsmanship is average. Although Tengu's swordsmanship is not his best, but he has learned it professionally for 5 or 6 years. How can you not lose to a rookie? Let's start. Tengu pulled out his ninja sword, and then his figure flashed and disappeared in an instant. Brush. Behind Yagami Ryosuke, the figure of Tengu suddenly appeared and slashed at his back fiercely. Clang! Night God Ryosuke quickly turned around to block the opponent's blow, and at the same time, the ninja's sword swung the sword quickly, and the air was torn apart by this blow, forming a translucent air blade attached to the blade of the ninja sword. Puff! The Tengu was instantly split in half. But with a bang in the next second, the Tengu that was split in half turned into a split wooden stake. Tengu, who was hiding in the dark, smiled slightly when he saw this scene. It's a newcomer, it's a plaque, he said in his heart, and at the same time launched a real attack. Ninja Phantom Slash. Several Tengu figures appeared in midair. Several Tengus drew their knives at the same time and slashed at the night god Ryosuke below. This move is the sword technique he created by simulating the dance of the 3 suns and the moon. It is a combination of swordsmanship and illusion. In fact, only one of the Tengus is the real body, and the others are just phantoms. However, unlike the dance of the 3 suns and the moon, only his real body can cause damage with this move of the Tengu. Phantoms are simply deceiving. No other use. Chapter 64. Easy Win. Umbu's Workflow. A Gift for Naruto. 8th More. Dance of the Crescent Moon. Night God Ryosuke saw the Tengu's move, and the first thing he thought of was the dance of the 3 suns and the moon. There are indeed many similarities between the two swordsmanship, but in the perception of Night God Ryosuke, among these Tengus, only the 3rd one on the left is real. Everything else is just an illusion. So Night God Ryosuke slashed out like lightning, cutting off the real body of Tengu. Ninja. Lightning Flash. Night God Ryosuke's knife is too fast. Flash of lightning itself evolved from the moves of a samurai. The most prominent one is the fast. Come to ultimate. Let the opponent have no chance to block or even react. Right now, Night God Ryosuke only used 30% of the speed to perform this move. But even so, the Tengu on the opposite side couldn't react in time, and a few hairs were cut off by his sword. Brush. The figures of the two fell to the ground. Tengu touched his forehead, and his heartbeat couldn't help but speed up. What a terrible knife. He really felt like he was about to be beheaded by Night God Ryosuke just now. Now his whole back is covered with sweat. I was completely intimidated by this knife. No, Yue, is this the general knowledge of swordsmanship you said? Recalling that night, God Ryosuke said before the start that he was not good at swordsmanship. Because of the dog, he felt that he was deceived. Lie. Is this normal? This is obviously very strong. There was also a resentful expression on the face under the Tengu mask. Tengu, my swordsmanship is really mediocre. It's just that I'm fast with my sword, Yagami Ryosuke said. However, Tengu, who was nearly decapitated by Night God Ryosuke just now, doesn't believe what he said at all. Hee hee. If I believe in you again, I will really be a dog. Is it better? Night God Ryosuke looked innocent. He knew Tengu didn't believe it, but what he said was true. His sword skills are really average. By this time, we don't restrict what to use. Tengu is also unyielding, although he lost to Night God Ryosuke in swordsmanship. Even if Night God Ryosuke was not merciful, he would have moved his head now. But he still didn't want to admit defeat. Anyway, he is also an old member who joined Umbu for more than 4 years. How can you lose to a rookie like this? Can. Night God Ryosuke nodded. No matter how he compares, he will not lose. 863 sidelines. Tengu actually lost in swordsmanship. Shadow said in surprise. It's such a fast knife, I can't dodge this knife. Hei Fong shook his head. He just imagined that he was in the state of Tengu, and found that he also couldn't avoid the knife of Night God Ryosuke. That is, if it were him facing that knife, there's also only one dead end. This guy, Tengu, really refuses to admit defeat, and he is even more competitive. Seeing the two fighting again over there, Shadow also shook his head, not as confident in Tengu as before. Although the two of them just competed in swordsmanship. But just now, Tengu was completely crushed. From the beginning to the end, the two only played against each other for 2 rounds, and then Tengu lost. Now, even if you let go, you can use other ninjutsu. Shadow also has little confidence in Tengu. On the court, Night God Ryosuke kicked out a shadow clone of Tengu, followed by sweeping his eyes, and quickly found the hidden position of Tengu's real body. Brush. His figure disappeared in place. Tengu, who was hiding, realized he was exposed as soon as he saw the Night God Ryosuke disappear. But that's exactly what I want. The corners of his mouth under the mask were slightly raised. Next second, a slash of light slashed at the back of the Tengu's neck. Boom! The Tengu that was hit exploded instantly. It turns out this is another shadow clone. Is it so expensive? Yagami Ryosuke said heartily. Tengu is not him. Chakra's recovery speed is unparalleled. Normal ninjas will never use their shadow clone as bait again and again. Because the disappearance of shadow clone also means that part of your chakra is also consumed. This is quite deadly for ninjas who don't have much chakra. And at this time, chakra is just a Chunin level Tengu, yet he dared to use 2 shadow clones as bait. Obviously, he is ready to end this battle quickly. Coming, Night God Ryosuke has seen the figure of Tengu. Magic tree bound kill. Tengu formed seals with his hands, releasing his own illusion. Tree binding and killing is a B-level illusion. The effect is to make the caster fall into a phantom, and indeed, tree phantom grows from the caster's feet, restraining the target, and at the same time the caster appears from the phantom of the tree, and the target is killed with 1 blow. Night God Ryosuke was also hit in an instant. Tengu has obviously been very proficient in using this trick of illusion. The moment Ryosuke was attacked by the Night God, he appeared in the phantom of the tree and held the kunai thorn towards the neck of the Night God Ryosuke. Clang! What? Tengu looked at the blocked kunai in disbelief. Look again, but he found that Night God Ryosuke was looking at him with a smile in his eyes. Oops. Tengu's heart skipped a beat, knowing that his illusion had failed. I didn't expect this rookie to be so good at fighting illusions. Before he had time to think about it, Tengu wanted to pull back immediately. But at this moment, another Night God, Ryosuke, appeared and put a handful of kunai around his neck. You lose. Night God Ryosuke said lightly. At the same time, the Night God Ryosuke in front of Tengu disappeared with a bang. It turns out this is a shadow clone. It turned out to be shadow clone. Tengu bitterly admitted that he had lost to Night God Ryosuke. Iwa, you have won. Night God Ryosuke immediately let go of his hand.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, The site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.